live. We're here. The premiere is over. It is hopefully linking to the stream. We should be live. I need to get music on because I was watching the premiere as well. Yeah. So that was a quick look at everything down under from the trip. Obviously, again, members had a longer version that had the full weaponized ADHD uncorked for quite some time. But yeah, here we are. I'm joined today by Rex Anger, who basically set up the whole trip. He's the one who say fire hot.
Fire hot.
Yes, fire hot. And then as well, we're also joined by I Will Boom, who we got to hang out with for a couple different occasions, which we'll see how much we can get into. So
the most important bit was that I got paid.
You did get paid.
Yes.
He was the one that got paid in the clip there.
I got paid on camera.
You did.
There was video proof of it.
Evidence has been given, so yes.
Anyway, got more packing peanut than I did.
So
one blew out of my hand in Newcastle.
Well, you know, details. I Will Boom's also
enclosed room.
I Will Boom has also done a lot more on the ES&D and Railroader than you have because of scheduling things, I think. But
unloved.
Well, details. Anyway, we wanted to go through kind of some of the stuff from the trip, talk about all of the madness and all the fun that we saw. And then, of course, you know, answer whatever questions you guys had because, goodness, it was a good bit of fun. But first things first, Rex did tell me that we would no longer be friends if I didn't do this on camera on stream.
You should turn it on for Discord.
Oh, well, I can't do that because only one camera at a time, so you're just going to have to live with the delay. Because
fine.
Oh, hang on. No, I can share an entire screen and you can watch me do it in OBS. We're getting meta right now. Anyway, so spoilers. When we were at the wildlife park, and I saw the genuine Australian-made souvenir that is a kangaroo scrotum that has been turned into a bottle opener. Spoilers if Leighton Moreland is watching. I bought this for Leighton as a gift, but I have to christen it here, so I've got myself a proper American beer, none of that Foster's crap, and yes,
somebody's got to go back
kangaroo testicles. It's fine. They're quite soft, actually, but
GG.
done.
I did not have Mark fondling kangaroo nuts on my punch list for tonight.
Well, that's what happened.
Not nuts, it's a scrotum.
It is a scrotum, yes. Anyway. So that just happened.
I might join you and I'll crack an actual Australian beer.
Oh, yes.
Proper 2 years old.
2 years old.
I haven't got any beer.
If I had more time to edit things...
I got whiskey.
If I had more time to edit things, I would have done my beer tier list. 2 years old was definitely very near the top, though. But anyway.
Good man.
Yeah, so the couple things to think about Australia for all of the Americans watching. The stereotypes, you know, are they drink Fosters, put shrimp on the Barbie, and all the wildlife will kill you. And all three of those
what
are
the hell's a shrimp?
Not very true at all.
It's a much larger, much angrier version of a prawn that we usually don't eat. There's a really good video of one punching a hole in a guy's ankle when he picked it up by accident on a boat once.
Peregrina says she has whiskey and says cheers, friends. I also have whiskey and I have shot glasses that say it depends and it's fine if I'm feeling stupid, but we don't need to get too crazy. Anyway. I see Mix in chat. Foster's is American beer. Yeah, it really is. I did not have a single one when I was down there, and all my friends are like, oh, you gotta have a Foster's. It's like, no. No, I went and had proper Aussie beers the whole time, and they're quite lovely. I would say that the Australian beer culture, the kind of the larger, more available, you know, kind of macro brew, whatever beers down there, by and large were lower percent ABV than a lot of the stuff in the States, but more flavorful. And honestly, would have been quite nice if it was hot and shitty out. So it's like, oh, that makes sense. And then the craft brews were about the same as the American ones. So it was, no complaints.
But they all taste like shit, so...
Anyway. I see that the top chats have started coming in here. Wizard Blades transport videos. Welcome to the Brakeman. Mr. Snow, Brakeman for 12 months. The RGS where the grades are higher than the paychecks. That sounds about right. Middletown Branch Productions. Fireman 13 months. Dananda. Welcome back, Sir Hyce. Hope Australia treated well. Absolutely. I mean, that is the biggest thing that I have to say about the whole trip. Now having been there, done it, all of it, was that everyone that I met down there at every railway, at every different place, they were so kind, they were so wonderful, they opened up their railways and their locomotives to me. It really felt like I got given the red carpet treatment, and I've never experienced anything like that before, and it was genuinely just absolutely fantastic, and I could not say enough for the kindness of everyone down there. Those birds. We've been birded. Thank you, Audrey Tolls. William, you gotta look closer in the background. It's there. Speaking of beers, it's there. Right there. Yes. Many fun little bits did come back with me as well, of course. Including, yes, that, which I'll show off in a second here.
That.
Blarghorf, thanks for gifting a membership. William Adams, a Gunzel flavored stream. Yes, Gunzel indeed. That's the Aussies have way too many fun slang terms for everything. That was the big thing to learn.
Elaborate on what that term means.
Gunzel is foamer.
Okay.
Basically.
No, so Gunzel is rail fan. Someone who goes out and photos or videos. We still have foamers where they just dribble at the mouth, and we'll leave that. The less we say about that, the better.
Yeah,
no,
I did edit out
Gunzel is explicitly one who goes out and takes photos or videos.
I did remove the true foamer clip that I had from Puff from the public video, because that was pain. But yeah, anyway. Yes. So anyway, but yeah, okay. So Gunzel's rail fan. Fair enough. That makes sense. Maddie Miller, 2 years as a brakeman. Pleasure meeting you, funny Birdman. Come back soon. It was great to meet you as well. That was also a ton of fun. Getting swarmed by all of you guys at Puffing Billy at at Belgrave when we were there. The Victorians came out in force, and that was a lot of fun. I met more people at Maitland at Hunter Valley Steamfest, but that was not a swarm of humans waiting for me and then thrusting upon me 3 bags worth of goods. The tea and sugar was quite enjoyed. That is my one regret from the vlog, is that I didn't personally have any footage of the tea and sugar that I could find readily enough. I probably have something on a GoPro somewhere, but the amount of video files I recorded, Jesus Christ. Anyway, let me get through these top chats and we'll keep rolling here. Ethan Locke, thanks for gifting 10 memberships. 94 Chevy. Hyce, friendo, boss man of the ES&D shit show. Did you get any rest since last night's charity streams? I went to bed at 3, and I got up at about 11, so I got about 8 hours of sleep-ish. It was not great quality sleep, but we're vaguely working back to a US time schedule here. The reason we're doing the stream right now is that it's, kind of late morning on Rex's end and early afternoon on Will's end. So, trying to make it work for everybody. Time zones. Yeah, you guys are, I think, 14 hours ahead in Perth and 16 hours ahead over on the east end of things, so.
16 or 17, I can't remember where daylight savings sends it. So.
Right,
International Dateline. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Jordan Freeman, what was this cursed tank engine? So the specific cursed engine that that I jokingly cut to with the Garrett ended up not being as cursed as it was described as, so we didn't end up showing it. It just didn't work out. But yeah, the Garrett is
what did
technically
you say was a 13 class? That's not particularly cursed.
That's right, 13, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just a tender into tank conversion. It's
right.
Not uncommon.
Right. I mean, it was wasn't it an Atlantic tank engine, which is kind of weird, but like.
Yeah, Atlantic tank engine, but that's because you don't have any room for a bunker unless you whack a trailing axle under it,
and so
which is a radial. It's a radial axle rather than a pivoting one, but that's reasonably sane.
Right. William Adams, hopefully a certain beer can made it safely there. Yes, it did. It rode inside my steel-toed boots, so it wouldn't get squished. But yes, William gave me an original GAN can. So the three-quarter show story that William basically provided all the reference for about the handcar trip to celebrate the end of the GAN, this was the beer that they brewed specially for that. And William found a can and gifted to me at Puff, and that was just very, very cool. So I've got my own GAN can from the story right here, and it's back there in the backdrop now. So many other things gifted to me as well. So
you said earlier to look harder for it,
and only to realize that my head's blocking it most of the time.
It's in behind your head, yes.
Yeah, it's fine. I need to redo all that shit behind me anyways. So yeah, it's fine. Audrey Tolles gifting 50 memberships. Yes, the birds are back. They work. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. Makes a huge difference for me, and obviously it's very fun to get thrown off by the birds. KPen97, welcome to the Brakeman. Ethan Lockett, the birds live. Yes, they do. Cal Pennypacker saw RGS20 on Wednesday, and she looks gorgeous. The DNS is more amazing in person than photos, and holy crap, what you know as a mountain in Pennsylvania is just a goddamn hill compared to here. The mountains over there are different. They are they're not as tall or as big or as like one singular mountain is impressive, but they pose almost a worst engineering challenge for railroad things because of how dense they are and how packed in they are. So.
Well, and how close to everything else they are.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
and the fact that there is very little way to get around them. It's
Left
Yeah.
turn, right
up
turn,
and
left
over
turn,
is
right
the
turn,
only
horseshoe
option.
curve, left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn.
Yeah, pretty much. So we had an easier time with the mountains over here than they did in some many ways, despite them being as big as they are. So Zimzam gifting 5 memberships. Thank you. Dylan Brooks, hey, the burbs are back. Glad you had a good time. Yes, we did. USS Salem, weird. I know a guy with a massive model layout with the surname Gunzelman. I guess he's destined to be a rail fan. That's pretty funny. Shawnee Mission, holy cow, over 2 years. Thanks for all the great content. Hoping to meet you when you're in Denver in October. Again, thanks for all the great content. Cheers. My October is a dumpster fire of travel, so hopefully I will be here when you're here, but shoot me an email. Zimzam, restore Porter 5 and run it to Tacoma. That's what you've been working on, allegedly. And Mateo Kuo,
Allegedly.
You second Zimzam. Yes, we'd love to see that as well. So, yeah. So, all those good things. Anyway, so the Australia trip, I mean, it was 3 weeks. It was absolutely ridiculous and fantastic in just about every way. First things first, was Hunter Valley Steamfest, which was basically the catalyst for it, being a thing, because Rex had been posting pictures and stories about doing that event last year, and I was like, I want to see that. I want to watch train races happen. So for my American friends who, don't necessarily understand things about Australia, hi, look, it's an island down here. Anyways, it's quite large. It's almost the same size as the States in terms of land mass. So it's a big place. So we flew into Sydney via LA, got to fly on the A380, which was awesome. And the first thing we did is Rex picked us up after I saw a bin chicken and was like, oh my God, look at how cool that bird is. And Rex was just like, it's a bin chicken. It's like, oh.
They are pests.
They're pests.
Yes.
They're neat bird, but yes, pests. Anyway, so Maitland is up here, just north of Newcastle. And this is basically your guys' busiest alignment in terms of train volume, yeah?
Certainly by New South Wales standards, and I think that'd go for just about the rest of it. Can't say much about what is happening in Melbourne, but given that it'd only be a suburban line in Melbourne, certainly for anything bigger than suburban, yeah, this would have to be the busiest.
That's right, because for context, what you've got is basically at Maitland you have 2 main lines converging before it heads into Newcastle and subsequently onto Sydney. So
Right.
you've got from the main north line, which goes up into the north and northwest of New South Wales, and that brings down you've got the coal from the Hunter Valley, you've got coal from the Gunnedah Basin, you've got all your agricultural produce and everything else coming from that northern wheat belt area up to the Queensland border, and then you've got the main, that's what we call the North Coastline, which has actually been the interstate main line since the 1930s between New South Wales and Queensland. And that's where all this intermodal freight and long distance passenger and the like all comes down as well, and they basically converge just outside Maitland.
Yeah. I talked about it a little bit when we were at Maitland in the vlog. The thing that really doesn't come across without being there is that they've basically got a 4-track main, you know, leaving out of Maitland heading back towards Sydney. And the 4-track main, 2 mains basically dedicated for coalies and freight, and then 2 that are dedicated for any of the crazy passenger services. And the amount of trains that were coming into Maitland was absurd. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was probably as Rex said, they're right up each other's ass. It was like every 7 minutes there was another train that was popping into the platform.
Yeah, when you're doing anything on the freight roads, you're basically running signal for signal for signal behind something in front of you, and there's at least 2 or 3 more trains behind you doing the same thing.
Right.
Like, there is so much coal traffic that comes out of the Hunter Valley, and then plus the wheat trains from Werris Creek and beyond, and then you add on top of that all of the big interstaters that come off of the coast. It's all just it's pretty hectic. So if something runs late, then you start to feel it, or has an issue somewhere down there.
Right. And so the amazing thing is they organized Hunter Valley Steamfest, and so they've got all the traction engines and all the fun, the attractions that make it a fair to explore, but they're running steam excursions all weekend out of the platforms at Maitland with, you know, turn of the century, last century, well, 2 century goes technically, but, you know, 1900s era 10-wheelers, and they're just working them in and around these things.
Well, the 32 is actually 1890s.
Right, she's 1890s, right around then.
30 years old.
Yeah.
So the first ones were I think the first ones were in 1890, and there were some 160 of them built, I think.
Yeah.
So,
it's about that. Yeah, very popular engine.
And then, of course, the 35 class is a little bit more modern, but still, you know.
It's 1920-ish.
Both,
because they predate the 1924 renumbering system, but I don't think they were 19 teens. So 1923 comes to mind.
Right. So, you know, both small 10-wheelers, and there's commuter trains that are coming in on crazy schedules. There's freights in either direction just about every 7 minutes. The fact that they just organized this and just ran the steam trains in the middle of all the madness, and then organized the race in the middle of that, taking up both the mains going one of those directions at the same time. If you told a railroad to do that in the U.S., the dispatcher would shit a chicken. Like,
so the biggest thing is that it's ARTC who actually host it,
right?
Which is the network owner. Like the network leaser. They lease the network and operate it and run it and do all the maintenance on it. But they're the ones who actually set up all the Steamfest stuff, so they can just put in the paths that they want and make all the other trains fit around it.
They have the power to organize it. Yeah,
it is definitely possible to it'd definitely be possible to do this even without that. Like, you could do this as a private operator. You put in a path and say, "Look, I want to do this," and you chat with the network operator, and they say, "Right, well, we've got these trains. You want to do a race? Well, we'll line you up at this time slot." And that means you can have from here to here unoccupied and just go straight flat out.
Right. It was kind of mind-boggling to see, you know, where basically anything steam that runs over in the States is on either private, smaller trackage with a special agreement, the whole 9 years. Like, there's not a, oh yeah, no, steam can just go do that, you know, with all the rules and everything. And so it was just a crazy thing to see, and it was just truly spectacular. And so they do it every year, every April, kind of at the start of the steam season, because it's fall down there. And it's going to be a couple years before the 40th when they do the 4-train race, yeah?
Something like that.
So
I believe they dropped a couple of years out because there was 1 or 2 years they lost due to COVID, and then they also had a very spectacular level of flooding one year that I don't think they'd seen since 1958. The station and everything ended up underwater.
yeah, that'd do it.
Yeah, a bit hard to run trains like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, goodness. Anyway, in a couple years, they're going to have the 4-train race, and I will definitely be back for that because, 2 was spectacular, but getting to see all the mains, covered by the 4 engines is going to be super cool. So, yeah.
Also noted just how many picnic train people have been popping up in the chat too. That's been quite entertaining.
Oh,
Hi,
good.
guys.
I've seen at least one pop up as a top chat here. So let me go through here.
You
Let's
have
see.
a defect.
Yes, he's back. The physicist was saying, "Lime the Gunsel."
Yes, good to be back.
The picnic train spotter.
My phone went flat.
Hey, Hyce, just wanted to know when the video's coming. Task it from the picnic train.
Yep, there it was.
Picnic train's gonna be. I need to look at my Trello. I've got a list, and I try to do stuff vaguely in order. This is like the big kickoff for it. I'll probably have the video about the race out for next weekend.
Nice.
Picnic train was kind of early in the trip, more or less, so picnic train will probably be relatively early here. But let's see. Yeah, we've got the train race, Thirlmere, probably gonna do a video about Garrett's, Zigzag, and then picnic train. So hopefully by the end of the month, we'll see. It might take a quick moment there. So. Splayhive015 wants to know when Rex's US trip is.
Huh.
I know
One crisis at a time.
You've had a desire to. I don't know if it's quite on your radar yet, but
No, unfortunately, but it's there is a plot and a scheme and an idea.
it's true. Colonel Cactus,
Might have to line that up and see if the two of us can do it.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Split some costs.
Go and torment Hyce at his home.
The Australian, yeah, go pester him where he doesn't want us.
Please do.
Oops.
It'd be fun. My home on the rails is much less fun than yours in some ways, and more fun in others. But anyway. Anyway. Colonel Cactus, hope to do even half of what you got to do in Australia within your lifetime. I was spoiled. Genuinely, all the stuff that we got to do and all the things that happened. That is the biggest thing that I've come away with is it was a very train activity heavy trip, and I honest to God rode in more cabs than I did passenger cars. That's a good problem to have. It was, yeah.
I'd bet say then, and that's the problem of being the influencer.
I guess, yeah.
Everyone sees you, so everyone knows you and goes, oh, we'll bring him for a cab ride, and
right.
All of a sudden, all the tickets that you paid for mean very little.
Right, we turned up to Zigzag, I got my ticket, and as we walked in, and of course the ticket was fucking $3.46, which was very funny, but as I walked through the door on the platform, Briggsy comes down and just goes, Hyce, we got a seat for you. It's the fireman's seat in the loco. Come on. And it's just like
pretty much grabbed by the ear and just dragged off towards the engine.
All right, no complaints
twist
on my
arm,
end. Yeah.
Twist it harder.
Oh no, whatever. I was absolutely spoiled. Yeah. So
look, we try our best here.
You succeeded. I'll give you that.
And look, even my best, as much as it didn't make it on camera, was still a good trip for you, I suspect.
That was a highlight of the trip, and we'll get to that with however much you're comfortable sharing, because it's your employment that I don't want to fuck with. So,
when it's only word of mouth hearsay, I'm happy to say a little bit more than than we'd recorded. But
of course,
yeah.
Let me get these last couple top chats and we'll move on from Steamfest, or finish up Steamfest and go. So Saf Surge, 13 months of Hyce screaming, come to Queensland soon. Yes, spoilers, this will not be the only Australia trip. There's too much more to see, and the thing that I've been kind of hearkening to some of my friends is Aussie preservation down there is basically what American preservation was like 30 years ago. You know, when the 844 and the 4449 got to race on Cajon Pass and duel into Los Angeles Union Station, and there was a match daylight contest and all this shit, and everyone was free to do stuff. That's what they have right now. And I know you don't know the engines and you don't know the country, but they are familiar enough, and the second you get to know about them and you know the people that work on them and work with them, it is so fucking cool. You just need to go visit. It's objectively too cool down there right now.
The people are just like us, and the engines are free range.
Yeah, pretty much. So... 94 Chevy,
at
how
the end of the
often
day,
did...
we're all here for the same goal, which
Right.
is preserving the steam for the future generations.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
And because they're a hell of a lot of fun.
We do like them. We do
Yes.
like them quite a bit.
I'll BRB, you can finish your top 10.
Roger. 94 Chevy, how often did you see that infamous orange paint during the trip? I mean, we probably saw it 5 to 10 times a day while we were in Maitland, on, you know, right next to the main and everything. Beyond that, we didn't see it much more, because we didn't have that much time with freight stuff in and around Sydney beyond Steamfest, more or less, other than what we'll talk about in a minute. But anyway. William Adams, 191P class and 26G class copies for the CR. Can you translate that, Rex?
Commonwealth Railways.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
So what happened was the same, basically the Commonwealth Railways had picked in designs from other state railways that they quite liked and knew worked. So they basically ordered a bunch of identical engines to the P/32 class, and then they went and did it again with the 36s, which they called the Cs. And then they also went to Queensland and grabbed a bunch of their C-17s and said, we like that, and called it the NM.
I can only assume.
Sorry,
I'm looking up in chat, and I can only assume it's more Picnic Trains people that are asking me about our classes.
Oh, some of them. I think there's also some Victorians in there as well. I think.
We'll get to the R class in a second here. William Adams, check public VC text for the Maitland flood. Yeah, let me take a look at that.
Oh, yes.
Public VC text. Oh, God. I have that channel
we're
muted for a
damp.
reason.
Oh, yes.
Holy shit!
I'm
That
returned, by
was
the way.
that was indeed quite the flood.
We're a
that they
bit
had.
soggy.
Yeah, the platform's underwater. That's not ideal.
Yep. That's right. And there are examples of, as the floodwater was rising and receding, they were actually still able to run train services into it up to a certain point, because the great thing about a steam engine is that as long as the grate isn't wet,
Right.
you can keep running.
Well, ideally, you don't want the driver boxes to get wet either, but you know.
That's what syringing's for.
Well,
And you got to get the fish out.
it's true. All right, Epoxy, welcome back to the funny
Hey,
upside.
look, fish oil
Upside
should
Up Land.
lubricate them.
Sadly, there's no
Yeah,
VB and Ford Falcons to enjoy, but I'm sure your children at the museum and your garage are happy to see you. I've yet
Not
to
that
get
many
back to
Ford
the
Falcons around
museum,
in the wild
so
anymore, sadly.
I will be seeing them. And Mario James, so how'd you go with those custom EMD reversers? Quite well. It was so nice to meet you, my friend. Your tractor was very cool, and I've got your reversers right here. I tried to grab all of the big things that I knew that were gifts from lovely people that I ran into in Australia. Because I literally overpacked, because that's just who I am. And then I was given so much cool shit, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta make it fit. And I stole a bag from my girlfriend, and it was the whole 9 yards. But yeah, having several custom reversers 3D printed was very sweet of you, my friend, and it was great to meet you and see things at Steamfest. Very, very much appreciative. So, you're the second. I want to say Zimzam printed this for me back in the day, if I'm remembering. But very much appreciated these, and
I was gonna say, I also have
they're
custom
dual-sided
reversers from Zim, so
they're dual-sided for depending on which multiple personality disorder I'm dealing with at the time. So, very much appreciated. And hopefully we can put these to use on a choo-choo one of these days. Anyway.
Perhaps
Do you
one
actually
of
have
the tunnel
have one
variety.
that takes that reverser?
The tunnel variety, yeah. The
Tunnel variety.
The,
Oh, yes,
the
yes,
big
that
stupid
one,
one that
the
we
big
want to
one.
play with. It's fine.
Oh,
I heard,
speaking of big
I-
stupids that we want to play with,
I heard that,
work was being done on.
I heard that a certain somebody was working on the 50 today, so...
A certain someone was working on the
Yeah.
50 today, indeed.
Yeah, that was cool. Alright.
Perhaps a certain someone that got it running the last time.
Yeah,
so...
no, well, yes and no. He was the last person who really cared about it a ton, so... But yes, he's a good person to be working on it, by all means. So... from Maitland, from Steamfest, I mean, obviously we saw the train race. The train race, I mean, that one clip in the race, I mean, they handed that to me on a platter. This clip that was in the vlog, in the premiere, where we pull up alongside the engine. It was just like, did they know that I was there? No, like, it was just too cool. And I mean, the train race... It's a race, but it absolutely is an excuse to throw just a good show. It's
it's a race in the same way that WWE is a competition.
Right. It's choreographed in the whole 9 yards. But
there's a lot of cafe about it.
That makes it the spectacle that it is, because watching the engine work that hard right next to it. I mean, this is what my video is going to be about. When I do the train race video, I mean, the title's probably going to be like the coolest way to experience Steam, because you can watch a train run past.
Every bounce that I saw was dodgy track. It might not have come across on the video of it actually being it working, but I think it is just dodgy track, which is the bit you got excited over.
It's not just dodgy track, though. It's not just dodgy track. I guarantee you, because if you watch the rhythm of what the engine's doing, it is timed in. When it tips up and down, sure, that is dodgy track, and that absolutely. But it is doing a shimmy in the yaw, Z up axis, and it's doing a roll. It's doing everything when they start to get it to work, and it is just
that's right.
One of the coolest damn things, because we pull up alongside it, right? And I'm, as religious as the sound is, I'm going to leave it off for a second so I can just talk about it. We pull up alongside it, and they had opened the throttle a little bit to make some noise, and okay, they're going to pass us and overtake, and that's going to be the next thing of the race, and they're going to get good shots for the photographers and all the gunzels out there. They're trying to get their pictures. Which, hey, this is the fucking neatest way to do it, because you can watch a train run past you, and oh, okay, cool, Doppler effect, neat, there it is, and you go chase or whatever. You can do that. You can ride a train, and you never really get to hear the engine work and see the engine work from where you're at riding the train. But doing this, where the two trains are paralleling each other the whole time, and you get to be right next to it and listen to it and feel it and see it work, was the coolest goddamn shit. So they open the throttle a bit. They're making it chuff a little bit. And as she starts really getting into it, you can see that there is a little bit of dodgy track shenanigans that is a slower arcing thing, but if you time it with the pistons, you can see that it is doing a gallop just ever so slightly. You gotta pick a fixed reference. Watching the drivers, watch the brake hangers, watch the drivers relative to the lead truck, watch the front of the engine relative to the lead truck. As she's doing the thing and working, there is the undulation and there is stuff where it's hitting pits and whatever, but with the rhythm, just exactly with the power strokes, because you can watch the actual force being distributed from the piston actually go out and do the thing. Watching that right then and there was just like the fucking coolest thing. It was just too fucking neat. I'm gonna play the clip again with sound, because you just gotta have it that way.
You were correct. It was me watching it sped up. It was me watching it sped up.
it was just spectacular. So that's the last bit that we can talk about Steamfest, at least. I mean, the whole event was super cool, obviously, but the train race kind of being the pinnacle, I mean, that was just spectacular. And right after I got that shot, I've got me on GoPro, me being me, I was crying and was like literally happy tears of that was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen. And I remember like getting off the train and being like, trip was worth it. Doesn't matter what happens from there. And everything else after this still happened, and it was just spectacular. So getting to pace like that was super cool. I'm gonna hit 4 top chats, and then I'm gonna horse like a piss race, and then I think
that's probably not a bad idea.
We'll go from there. And we'll let Will and Rex have the floor, I guess, talking about whatever the fuck you want to talk about next. But anyway,
not me this time! Yay!
Yeah, not Jersey. Patrick McNeely, oh boy, 21 months. I don't know what to say. Happy Saturday. I don't know. Happy Saturday. Thanks. Julius Graham, best and worst Australian food I had. Did I see the other Puffing Billy locomotives? We saw a bunch of the NAs. We saw the Garrett. I didn't get to see the climax at the museum, time constraints. We basically went to Victoria to see Puffing Billy, and that was about it. And next time, I absolutely want to spend more time there, because Melbourne was very neat, and I didn't get to see all of Puff. So there will be a next time. Probably not next year, but maybe the year after. We'll see. We'll figure it out depending on how all the things shake out. But best and worst food? There was a lot of good food. There wasn't much that was like disappointingly bad food. There really wasn't anything that was like a worse than I could think of.
Tell them the thing that you liked.
I liked Vegemite. That's in the vlog. Vegemite was good. We found a random Croatian restaurant in Sydney that was
the way we do it.
Awesome.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the thing of it is like, anyone who's like, oh my god, Vegemite's gross, don't fucking put it on your toast like Nutella. Butter, and then
shovel it into your mouth with a spoon. Like...
Yeah, it's a very powerful, pungent flavor, so use appropriately, and it's good. Like, that's the thing.
Hey, no, you get the fuck away.
Hi, Apollo.
We almost had a recreation of the incident pre-stream.
Oh my
which
god!
I had to go away for a few minutes because I realized that it required more cleanup. Specifically, Apollo himself.
Oh my god!
This is bad.
That buddy. So the other good foods. I mean, Sydney being such an international town had amazing Asian food. That was, stuff that you can't get in the States and was more authentic and was excellent. I genuinely don't think I could think of something that I was like, oh, that was the worst, other than maybe just like, oh, it was just a fast food meal or whatever when we're on the run. But nothing stuck out as like, oh, that was kind of eh. Everything was really good. Having Indonesian cuisine from right near Indonesia and getting sambal and getting my mouth melted apart was fucking cool.
I thought you made a comment about your eyes bleeding.
They didn't quite bleed, but I just remember Natalie and I not knowing if they did, white people spicy, as we joke about in the US or not. No, they do not fuck around down there. So that was very fun.
No, you go to an Indonesian restaurant, you get Indonesian food. You go to a Thai restaurant, you get Thai food, and it's exactly how it comes out of their country.
Right. Yeah, no, it was excellent. So, very much like that. Dylan Brooks, the race was so fucking cool. Yes, it was. Yes. That sign was very good. USS Salem, it's like horse racing, but with iron horses. Yes. Jordan Freeman, Sky! I need more power! Pretty much. And Patrick McNeely, a bunch of NAs. Why are there so many first-gen Mazda Miatas on the railroad tracks? Limes. Wrong kind of NA. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to the Aussies for a second while I horse like a piss race. I'll be right back.
All right, it sounds like it's time to hospital pass to... Well, guess what? I've got to go do the same thing. Bye.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I guess I'll...
Up to the rest of us.
Entertain the masses.
Oh, God.
And this is how the rest of you feel? Dear God.
Wanna hear a
no,
joke?
No. Don't you ever don't no I don't. I already seen one fridge in the chat. We're not doing this.
Jersey,
We're not doing this tonight.
You've made the problem worse by saying it. If you just ignore it, it goes away.
Just don't mention it.
It's happened. It's happening. It's too far.
Maybe you shouldn't have acknowledged the first message. That sounds self-inflicted.
Don't blame
Okay,
me.
fine. I'll tell a joke.
This is the one time I will victim blame.
Alex Beck, the picnic train is standard gauge, the proper gauge.
So much for Australia.
Well, that's because you opened your mouth, and then everyone went, "Ooh, here's an easy joke to pile in on."
Yeah, that happens.
And now I see the chat start flooding with it.
Oh, someone asked you for your kitchen sink.
I live with my parents. As much as I'm in the middle of buying a house, I live with my parents, not my sink yet.
Hey, I mean, my fridge is up for sale. The ice maker's a piece of shit.
We have
that's something that you Yanks do
Dennis
weirdly,
Sink
is
from
have
Denver
ice
Union
maker in your
Station in
fridge.
the shop. Yeah, by the way, the museum, the shop sink over in the break area is the Dennis Sink from Union Station in Denver.
Yeah, that would do it. Peregrina, as to any triple gauge in Oz, yes, quite a bit. Cape gauge, standard, and broad existed in quite a few places in South Australia. One of the yards that we talked about on the 3/4 show that we did while Mark was here, one of them was triple gauge at some point during the conversion from South Australia from Cape gauge to standard, I think it was triple gauge for a while.
That's right, and then Peterborough Yard still exists in that state as well as a museum, which I've had a ride on
there
that
you go.
turntable. That was fun.
Triple gauge turntable?
Triple gauge turntable.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Sounds hell.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Six rails, or is it?
I was going to say,
a
is
common
it
rail
6
in there
rails
somewhere?
or common?
Well, if it's got to
And that's
be,
the really sad part.
It's
I
gotta
was
be
18, so
six.
it was-
it's got to be
Yeah,
if you
something like
want
that.
to be able to turn the table and then
It's
do a
gotta be
180.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. The problem is, though, is that the last time I went to the Peterborough Railway Museum was 20-odd years ago on a road trip.
So it's been a
I
minute.
got to go to South Australia for my birthday, so it's been a while.
All right. I see Mad Lad's here. 2 years as a fireman. Good to see you, Mad Lad. 94 Chevy. Jersey's fridge is off the menu, you freaks. God damn it. Bailey Chap, can I have a fridge? No. Transpotter 454. Looks he had an incredible time in Australia. Looking forward to see the videos. I'm looking forward to get some of them out. I just got to get ahead on content and things.
Hurry up!
Virtual Rail Fan, hey Jersey, I used the SP livery pack in Railroader to make a blue comet with the lightweights and used the proper hex code 003A99.
There's an update to that. That's not the correct hex code anymore. I mixed the paints myself.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to update your hex code, but I have to say I went downstairs to use the restroom so I could also grab a beverage, and my girlfriend who's watching, hi, had to remind me because I couldn't think about it. Fuck you, Rex. Preemptively, fuck you for her. Anyway, she reminded me I did have a very depressing burger when we were in Boyanup. That was the worst meal of the trip, actually.
So depressing you repressed it from your memory.
Pretty much. It wasn't like, oh, this is bad. It was just like, it was a very shittily executed burger, and it was unfortunate.
Was that the Burger King we went to at Maitland immediately after?
No,
we were there?
at Boyanup. At the pub.
Ah.
Yeah, the meat was
Oh,
overmixed,
yes,
and
that's
it
right.
was and it had a weird sauce, and it was just a sad experience.
Well,
But
that's why you should have got the palmy.
I know I should have got the parmy.
I
I
that's
saw
a
that
skill
come out of the
issue there,
kitchen, went fuck. Okay, I should have gotten something else, but yeah.
Yeah, most
but
pub feeds are pretty good, but yeah, you occasionally do get the one that turns up
she also
ridiculous.
wanted to note that Mick had come on to say the appropriate thing about Vegemite that I missed in the general chat of Vegemite is like coal, little and often.
Little
and
and often. He's
that
quite
was
correct.
that was pretty good.
That is a good way of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good way.
Yes. So.
Anyway, I
after
went and grilled G'd as well.
Oh, good. Good.
Yes, I have Whippersnapper, which is local Perth. Well, it's a bourbon-style whiskey.
Gotta like that.
Good stuff.
All right. So yeah, after we did, I'll start streaming to Discord so you guys can see what I'm showing as well. After we did Steamfest, we went down to Sydney, did some touristy things around there. I was very pleased. The Croatian community is huge down there, so I got to take my girlfriend and Rex both to a pretty good, proper Croatian restaurant, and I got to have Karlovačka, which I hadn't had in almost a year, which is one of my favorite beers. But
it was a good feed, that place.
Right after that, we went, and this is probably the bit of the vlog of either you know or you don't. Malcolm Young, which is AC/DC's.
It's hard to make out in the photos.
It is super hard to make out in the photos. This is where Malcolm
It took me the second viewing to realize, that's who that is. Yes.
Yeah, Malcolm Young's buried here. He was the rhythm guitarist for AC/DC who wrote all of their riffs. Like, everyone thinks Angus, but you should think Malcolm. Malcolm was the guy, and so he died in 2017.
In defense of both Mark and his camera, the relief on that headstone was not easy, even
with your eyeballs. Yeah. So people had left all manner of AC/DC merch there, including a Funko Pop that my sister was the sculptor for. Fun fact, she used to work there. But anyway.
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Pretty much. I left him a guitar pick. So it was reported that he used to go through about one every song or two. So... yeah, we went and saw Malcolm.
These drums were mean, supposedly.
Yes, I mean, that dude played the shit out of the guitar, and it was
the fact that you can hear him over Angus half the time,
and when he's clean,
yeah, he's clean on rhythm in the background,
right.
Just with that little video of yours there, with you were asking about how to pronounce it 5 times. Woolloomaloo. Yeah,
Woolloomaloo.
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 5 times.
Woolloomaloo.
Yeah, there's 4 pairs of O's, and they're all pronounced differently.
Woolloomaloo. Yeah, fuck you, Australia, for that one. That was funny. When we went in, I still
struggle with some places, so...
The Botanic Gardens...
Remember, don't call woy.
Yes. The Botanic Gardens...
You can call wagga wagga. And what was the other one? Wagga wagga. Not woy.
Yes.
That's right.
At the Botanic Gardens in Sydney, it's where we saw the Opera House, and it was very pretty and fun. This tree, we walked around, I was hearing the shrieking, and I went, what the fuck is that? Not processing, not even thinking. Oh my god, that's the cockatoo, right? And we turned the corner, and there was a sulfur-crested cockatoo hanging upside down off of this branch, violently gyrating with his crest all the way up and just screaming his head off. And I grabbed my phone, and the second I had it up, he flew away, and I was just like, that is my first wild cockatoo that I processed as a cockatoo experience, was that. And it flew, of course. It was just the most bird fucking moment. It was very funny.
They are such funny creatures.
They really are.
They're such funny creatures. It's always interesting whenever you're going along the railway line and you see this trail of wheat, and then this patch of white things down in the distance, and you're going, what on earth are they?
Oh, birdies.
You whistle at them, and half of them take off, and the other half start running and trying to scramble their way over the railhead because they've eaten that much wheat and they're too fat to fly.
That's right. There's nothing quite like
come on, birds, get out of the way.
The cloud of squawking white explode off the railhead.
So, we can revisit. I'm going to kind of go through all my phone photos because it helps tell the narrative and stuff, and that's what I use to make the overall story of, like, oh, this is where we went and saw. But I have footage on my GoPros and on my big camera that we can pull up for some of these places. I see Jay Christensen asks if I saw 3801 when I was there, and yes, there she is.
No, he didn't.
Never. And that was one of my favorite things. It was actually by happenstance. We're at Hunter Valley Steamfest, and it turns out Rex knows everyone. Anyone who's ever pulled a throttle or regulator in Australian steam railway anything, apparently Rex knows.
Because we've only got a population of 25 million across
Right.
a continent the size of the US,
Right.
the Steam Preservation Group is relatively small.
Right.
So
And I
you
have
tend to
failed my
know,
way into knowing a lot of interesting people.
Right.
and even if you don't know them directly, Six Steps of Kevin Bacon, like you're
Right.
always going to know someone who knows them, and then you have a common ground and work from there.
Yep.
Right. And so we bump into the director of the museum at Thirlmere, Transport Heritage, New South Wales. And that's going to be a big video that I'm going to do because it was very fun. Obviously, that's where 3801 is. That's where the big Garretts are. Spoilers, they let me have a fun ride in the cab. And how hard are they working the engine? The fire door was glowing orange. So, fire hot, yes.
Fire hot, yes.
And that was just a treat. That was one of my favorite little moments was going around and getting to chat with the guys about 3801 and seeing that engine. I mean, that engine is legendary. I mean, it's probably the most famous locomotive from Australia, if I had to guess, as a singular locomotive.
Yeah,
The Victorians would
singular
argue
engine
with
and
you,
do
but
that.
for the rest of us, yeah.
No. So they've got more popular intrastate ones, but interstate and international, it'd be
Right.
the
In terms of
3801.
international appeal, as a dumb
Better
yank,
New Haven I-5.
I had heard of the 3801 and, the Garrett as a concept, not, it's 6029, etc.
Yeah. So, as much as we had some of the biggest Garretts, and we've got the currently largest operating Garrett in the southern hemisphere, it's definitely the flying green dildo, which takes the cake.
It's not near as bad of a dildo as 611. No one is 3D
no,
printed.
but-
No one has 3D printed 3801 with a pair of testicles. I've got 611 with a pair of testicles in my backdrop.
That's the
Yeah,
horror.
yeah.
Horror.
Anyway,
It's the
sorry,
closest we
sorry,
get, so
sorry,
it's what
Mom.
It's what gets the moniker because it's the closest we have.
Yeah,
so.
of course. But beautiful
also,
engine.
everyone's granddad, and I think the other story is it's everyone's granddad's engine as well.
Sure.
It's the same joke.
Oh,
Bombs
yes.
full in.
It was.
Flying Scotsman.
It was so funny when we walk up to it and they were doing work on the crossheads and totally replacing the crossheads, and the gentleman who's touring us around, Daniel, who's absolutely delightful, wonderful guy, and was very kind, giving us the tour and taking the time out of his day when he was in charge of his kids to give us a tour through the museum all the way through, and gave me a cab pass and the whole. I mean, he was so kind.
Good man, good pirate.
Good man, good pirate. Not as much of, a steam mechanical kind of person. And so one of their machinists comes over who'd been doing some of the work on it. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, no, Griffo will tell you all about it." And he just goes, "Hyce!" It's like, God damn it. It was very funny to be like, "Oh, yeah,
We come back to the influencer thing.
who's
This
doing
is
the
probably
work on
first time we
3801?"
noticed
And he brought up the video of me doing the same thing to 20, working on the crossheads. And it was just like, this is hilarious. Never would have expected that. It was a cool touchstone, and getting to chat with him. He's a very nice guy.
Holy
But
shit! I
Look,
just
we all
remembered
try to
that.
be.
That video of you working on the crossheads is my first appearance on the channel.
It's an old video.
That's
it
it.
was 2022.
Oh, don't call it an old video.
It's an old video. You're coming up on
It
3
did
years at
something
the
else.
museum, Bucko.
Yeah.
You can check out anytime you like, but you
But
can
you can
never
never
leave. Yeah.
We have got to change the Wi-Fi on the brain cell.
Yeah. So, anyway,
Yeah. It feels
Thinking-
weird looking at this thing without buffers. I'm
It is-
staring at it thinking, it's naked.
No, it's not.
It's because it's
Looks
underwater.
fine.
Yeah, it looks great. It just needs a cut lever, and it doesn't
Yeah.
need the swingy outy, knuckly, screwy, knuckly.
Yeah, it
It's got a
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
lever. Hang on,
combo.
go down, scroll down. There is a cut
Got
lever.
proper cut.
Oh
proper
God,
levers.
is it bottom
Proper
operated?
couplers.
Yes.
God.
Oh, that's goofy.
Yeah.
If you've got to have a top pin, how are you
Yeah.
going to swing it out of the way?
Sure. Right. Okay.
Oh, God. Yeah, that
if
makes
we had
sense.
if we had more time, I'd have
Yeah.
taken you around and you could have seen wagons that had that, but that'll have to be for next time.
Oh,
too.
mate.
Sure.
We do not like those. They are not fun.
That
So
is,
the CQP wires that are top operated, I don't know if you've dealt with them much, but
Yes. And I do not
Yeah.
like them.
no.
You don't
So
like
they're
it
still
like top operated.
No, top operated
No,
is
it's those
fine,
wagons
yes.
specifically.
Their
So-
castings are horrible.
So
castings up there.
not to interrupt the important coupler conversation, but when we were talking about
Sorry.
famous engines and things, I was reminded of one more thing from Maitland that was one of the single funniest things I've ever heard in the cab, and I have to put this publicly, at least on this live stream. Alex knows what it is. Sorry, Rex knows what it is. Anyway, we were in getting my first experience on the footplate in Australia. We got a cute little cab ride while they're shuffling out of the way to let commuter trains do their business, and then shuffled the engine back over in the evening at Maitland. And I got to chat with a couple of the guys, and they're guys who've been in the Aussie preservation steam forever. And genuinely wonderful dudes, and dudes who've been there and done that.
That's because steam ran late. Ran late, so the guys who started on it in the early days are still alive now.
You've still got the first series of preservation guys, and I don't know, is Alex one of those? Not Rex, but...
No, Mr. Claskins, yes.
Yeah, he'd be pretty close.
He'd be pretty close.
Yeah, something like that.
He'd be very close to, like, even the first people to do it, let alone the first generation to do it. So.
Right. So
I was going to say, I think you still have more people that actually ran them in revenue service.
And that's before we get into the expatriate South African population here as well.
Right.
That's government steam in New South Wales ended in 72.
Anyway, this guy, Alex, is one of those kinds of guys who's been there, done that, who, when he starts talking, the rest of the room shuts up and listens. And no matter what he's going to say is going to be interesting and full of fun stories and whatever. And so we're on the 3265, the red engine that was at Maitland, and we're sitting there chatting about all manner of random railway preservation things, and he just brings up the time. He's like, oh, and when the Scotsman came over to Australia, you know, I had to deal with it quite a bit. And he basically said, I was one of the few that listened to their instructions the way they wanted, apparently, so I lived on it. He said he must have done at least 10 trips plus on it, firing, driving, whatever. And you can see the twinkle in his eyes. He's talking about the Scotsman, and he got to be a part of the crew. And he's just building it up. And yeah, I did all these trips on the Scotsman. And what an absolutely fucking horrid locomotive that was. The worst locomotive I've ever operated. And it was just like, oh shit. I mean, it was the funniest thing. He perfectly, like, he threw the softball over home plate and then just buried that baseball in the side of the stadium. I mean, it was so freaking funny to hear this guy like, oh yeah, I know I've operated Scotsman and it sucks. After just building it up, it was the perfect little story drop.
Great bloke.
So as much as you got, as much as all you Yanks joke about the Australian loading gauge,
right?
This thing dwarfs Scotsman.
Yeah.
Badly.
We don't joke about the Australian loading gauge. You all actually have one. We joke about the British loading gauge. The British
loading gauge is much worse. And that's the reality thing. Like, obviously, I know there's a ton of people who are British
6
foot
foot tall
fans
drivers on a 6 foot tall engine. You sort of go,
British steam is a whole different thing. The biggest thing of it is that Australian railways are roller coasters. And you've got 3% grades or 1 in 33s all over the place.
It's like
there's
the
two
US.
left. There's two left. There's the Blue Mountains, which I took you over, and then there's the Illawarra Escarpment, which goes from Wollongong up to Moss Vale.
That doesn't exist on the Class 1 in the States, and it doesn't exist hardly anywhere in Britain, you know.
Isn't part of Cajon Pass still got 3% on it?
No, I don't think so. I think Cajon is still like 1.8 or 2% tops.
Oh wow, a 1 in 50.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, Cajon
Because
Pass.
this is what makes it really hard to compare express passenger engines on the east coast of Australia, because when you sort of the average foam, I'm sorry, correction, I'll try that again. Gunzel will put the 38er together with the R class, and then they'll basically slap fight for hours and hours over which one's fundamentally better. And what everybody forgets is that the R has bigger wheels for a reason. Victoria is mostly flat. The steepest grades that they've got are relatively short. They're like bumps, or if you wanted to be really uncharitable,
1 in 50 for something. 1 in 50 for like two or three.
Warren,
it might even be 3
you're a bit
kilometers.
of an ambi-bambi.
Yeah.
I think
so for
Cajon-
reference,
the newest line that they laid on Cajon to get rid of the 3% was 2.2%. So, like 1 in 45 or something like that.
Well, that's still a little bit on the steep
1 in
side.
45 or so, give or take.
Yeah.
It's still a proper grade.
Yeah, it's definitely a proper grade, but that is like the worst by far on a class 1 in the States. So
that's quite reasonable.
At this point.
At this point.
Well, now that Saluda is closed too.
You pick a direction out of Sydney and it's 1 in 40 every way.
That's right. Every cardinal point of the compass, you've got incredibly
Right.
steep climbs all the way out of the Sydney Basin. And then, you've got to climb over it to get back in. So the 38ers were built, yes, they were built for speed, but they were built to climb, and they were built to keep climbing.
Right.
So, you put the two together, and I will
my one
outdrag it
gripe
quite
with them
happily.
is...
Were we talking
my
about
one
hills
gripe
on
with them
mainland?
is they have the 245-pound boilers.
Yeah, 30...
Which is the only reason they can actually make any decent climb is because they've got such a high-pressure boiler.
Right. Beautiful engine, and I'm going to have to come back and see it run, of course.
Yes.
Thermalmirror, I don't have much more in terms of videos, at least accessible on my phone, but they let me play the banjo on the engine, which that was a treat. We're coming back down, and the whole footplate crew knew me, and were wonderful people, and they just go, hey, you're not getting out of here without putting a fire in this thing. And I'm like, all right, God, I have to shovel backwards with a weird shovel and the whole thing. And it was bizarre to me, but it was
not a snow shovel.
Yeah, it wasn't a snow shovel. That's what I'm used to, the snow shovel. So
yeah, and they're wrong.
The thing I was gonna say about the old head hating Scotsman is it's literally the SpongeBob scene. I remember when they invented.
I always hated it. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Don't worry, I've heard exactly the same thing about Tornado as well, which is absolutely hilarious. The first time I went to South Africa, one of the volunteers there, she'd been involved in the trials of it at the Great Central Railway, and I asked, so what was that like? Thinking, first new build in forever, and she's just shrugged her shoulders and gone,
It's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Just for the stream, we'll allow them to see these ones, Mark.
Yeah, so I have my face cam up on stream. So where should I stop on things that I can show in terms of?
Keep scrolling up so I can see the lot of them.
I mean, these are all videos at this point, and then there's a couple pictures at the end.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to show any videos, but.
Just for the stream, they can see the overview of the photos, but no videos. I think we'll go with that.
Yeah. So anyway, after the Thermalmirror day was a very fun, strange day of us driving up the Blue Mountains to Lithgow, where Zigzag Railway is, and we'll pull up things for people for context because that means nothing to you unless you know the thing. Sydney, again, here on the east.
Sydney, west 100 miles, just inland of Bathurst.
Yep, yeah, because Bathurst is there on the map, and the Blue Mountains are right here. Lithgow's right there. So we drove up from Sydney to Lithgow, and here's something that the American mind cannot comprehend. If I turn on the transit map, they have multiple services daily from Sydney to Lithgow and back.
So to Lithgow and back, there's a train. Actually, they've just upgraded the table. So up until probably about a month or two ago, it was a train every 2 hours. Now on weekdays, it's a train every hour during the business day, and then after that, it goes back to every 2 hours.
That would be that would be the equivalent.
About 100 miles.
That would be the equivalent of something from RTD in Denver running past Pueblo and back on the hour.
Yeah, we are lucky to have the one train daily within an hour of its scheduled time.
Within a day of its scheduled time, for real, but yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I've experienced
Penrith is about 40 miles from Central Terminal, which is where the end of the suburban services stop. And then beyond that, it's all interurban services, which is every hour.
Yeah, so there's Penrith right there. Yeah, I mean, the transit system is excellent around, especially around Sydney, but it's like, oh, that's, one of the biggest cities in Australia. And it's like, yeah, and it's population equivalent
That's right.
to Denver,
and all
basically.
those little towns that we went through basically became glorified satellite suburbs. So
Right.
Sydney Basin is far bigger than you'd first assume.
It's huge down there. So
up to Katoomba, you feel the influence of Sydney.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
But it's about Springwood
being
is
there.
the end of the Sydney Basin.
Right. So that's quite the way. We drove from Sydney up to Lithgow, and then this was one that was kind of an unscheduled thing, and we dropped off my girlfriend in Lithgow, and she very gracefully had a day to herself, not doing much, while Rex and I then proceeded to take the train back to Sydney to meet up with Mr. I Will Boom for some shenanigans.
Yes.
Yeah. So first Victorian engine cab ride, and all I promised them was a C-Class.
Yeah, so we were supposed
So
to...
I've driven that engine in Western Australia, so I was just a wee bit jealous.
So yeah, you guys...
I said C-Class.
This is basically an SD40 in States parlance, except it's got the wide cab, but you do real train things in Australia, and we're going to get to go for a little ride. And
Go back one, you'll see an SD40 in a box.
Supposed to get a ride in this.
All I had promised was a C-Class, and then about lunchtime, get a phone call saying, "Oh, we've got to touch this B-Class. Where do you want it?" And both me and my mate, who was my driver because I'm only a trainee, who was happy to bring them for a cab ride, said, "Oh, well, that can just go on the front, I think."
And for the uninitiated, a B-Class is the double-ended F unit.
But better, because you can go both ways with it.
Both ways.
Yeah, but it's also a 6-axle. And you were saying this is one of the first 6-axles ever made, right?
So, yeah. So, it was the second class of diesel in the world to have six traction motors.
So
rather than the first order of GMs, which was ordered by the Commonwealth Railways in South Australia, they were A1A, A1As.
Right.
So you had an idler axle in the middle just
Right.
to save on the on your axle gauge. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Axle
loading. That's the one. And then the Victorians decided, what if we put another pair of traction motors in? And then they did. Before the Yanks did.
So
So-
here's the B class.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
And so we got to go for a little ride on the B class on the head end of the freight back up towards Lithgow.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
so
much
we-
you want to say about anything else on that. But
I think that's about as far as I'm willing to go for the moment. So we took them for the ride out to Kelso, and then while I stuffed around and fueled the engines, we let them nap in the car because they had a big day of zigzag things ahead of them.
yes.
So
Yeah.
That was a long
they
day.
sat in the car while we watched fuel gauges go up.
The sleep schedule
Oh,
was
joy.
quite a thing. But yeah, that was one of the coolest evenings I've ever gotten to experience for a number of reasons. I mean, I've never gotten to ride, any real big freights or anything in the States. Never when I worked for BN or anything. I never got to go out on that sort of thing. And so I remember being like, man, this is a lot of driving and tutting around for, I don't know what it's going to be. And just sitting in the seat and watching stuff go by was...
I wasn't gonna
cool.
make you come all the way out here for something that little. No, you're always gonna get a
It
full
was
run. So
it was pretty cool. And then of course, the other things that happened were pretty goddamn cool.
yes.
So-
Well,
Yes,
we might leave that
well.
unsaid for at least another month or two, and then after
Yep.
that,
Yep.
maybe
Yep.
on live
No,
streams.
nothing else was had. So anyway, but yes,
No, absolutely nothing.
as
at
I
all.
will boom said, Zigzag was next, and Zigzag was where we turned up, and my ticket was 346, which was fucking hilarious. And we turned up, and they
I
go,
think it's
"Hey,
345, 346, 347.
we've got a seat for you. It's the fireman seat on the engine, and it's an S118 Cape Gauge 282." And it was like, oh my god, it feels mostly like home.
This might be something for your
Except
friend
for the
Mark
seats
to
being
have to worry
switched.
about.
Might be, yeah.
Might be.
Except that no, Goose, the seats aren't switched. Drive
Oh
right
no,
hand
they're
in
not.
Queensland.
What am I?
yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
right
see all
hand
the
drive in
bits?
Queensland.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, Queenslanders drive on the right-hand side, as do the West Aussies.
Good, they do it the right
Well,
way.
that's right.
was-
You're wrong as well, aren't you? That's right.
It was
Yeah.
bizarre to see a butterfly door that had no air or steam operating valve. It was just the lever.
Oh, it didn't.
that
Oh,
was weird.
That is
Yeah,
odd.
no. You have a rag. You just open the door, throw the coal in, and shut the door.
Yeah,
And deal with it.
Everyone happy.
Which is what the 59's got as well. Though it does at least have an air pedal, but it doesn't.
I don't know if it
work,
works, though.
I have never seen it work in my sort of 4 years at picnic trains. So.
oh boy.
No. Plus, it's easier if you've got that many people in the cab. If you absolutely have to have someone swing the door for you.
So you guys really want me to die by shovel if I have to open the door? Okay.
Yeah. No, you are going to die by the shovel because you have to touch the metal thing.
Yeah, Christ. Anyway. Zigzag
No,
was
single boxed.
incredible, but I am seeing that I need to get some top chats, and then we'll come back here. Jordan Freeman, Jersey spending the weekend with Snooki and Pauly D. It's a Jersey Shore reference, apparently.
Huh?
What? Yeah, exactly. Me too.
What?
Bailey Chap, can I recommend the Slow
What?
Rail Journeys Grainlander services in Victoria? It's a 2-night heritage sleeper train tour that's often steam hauled mid-year. That sounds neat as hell, honestly. But,
That might be something for next trip.
yeah. Jay Christensen, yes, we showed off 3801. Ben Nintendo 64, did you test the toilet thing? That was the one thing that I didn't film that I thought would be funny to film. Every toilet I encountered in Australia had water that was dumped into the bowl from 2 different ways, so you never got to see it do the swirly. So I did not get to test the toilet thing because I never saw a toilet actually do it.
We have more sophisticated toilets.
Apparently, yeah. Wolfster, you're
The
waiting
toilet
for the
thing is
stream to
a
start.
myth.
Internet said no. Anyway, you're here now. Safe to say I did not expect you to buy the Rue Nuts. I did. For a joke for a friend who, by the fact that I've not gotten messages, is not here. So
Was
anyway.
obviously not here.
Yeah.
Excellent. The surprise is maintained.
Yep. Zach
Oh, that's
M.
even
Panda,
better.
it's final
Like-
season at Mines. High stream to de-stress. Let's go. Oh god, yeah, it is final season at Mines, isn't it?
Cheers.
Godspeed,
Yeah, it
my
is.
friend. Figure it out.
Yeah, best of luck.
Audrey Tolles, why does the coupler need to be on a hinge? Because they have the screw link as well as knuckles.
It's
they
so
had
you
to have
can
both.
so you can
Yeah.
swing the auto out of the way so that you can actually use the hook without then having to worry about is the knuckle gonna knock it off if you go over
Do
it
something
up.
dumb. Yeah.
It's a legacy of the first time the engine was actually Phoenix because it was retired while steam was still in operation. Then they brought it back, and they did that to give it a bit more utility.
Right.
Yeah, the 38ers were originally built with just a hook on the front. I think they had autos on the rear, but I think they had a hook on the front.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Just to be inconvenient.
Somebody's
so
got to
you've
go
got
back and
strap
get a
your engine.
shitload of dimes.
Barrage Balloon just got here from a bush railway and saw a climax. Awesome. Smiddle, glad you had a great time in Australia. Thank you. It really was a great time. Colonel Cactus, the westbound Zephyr delayed you 2 hours today. That tracks. Patrick Neely, other things happen. Gotta wait for the statute of limitation to expire. Something like that. Details.
Yeah,
And,
statute of limitation, something.
Blues Crew, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. Yeah, Zigzag. A lot of the clips that were actually in the video during the premiere were from Zigzag, because Zigzag was just one of the coolest operations around. It was genuinely spectacular.
Yeah, it's like your guys with your own little private network, but
Right.
it goes for 8 miles instead of half a mile.
Right, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful 8 miles, and
And it's all uphill, and then it's all downhill. And there is
yes.
no choice in
Yes.
going up, then down, then up, then down. So you're
Uphill
either
in the
working-
snow both ways.
yeah. All right, so
yeah. So
getting up to Lithgow here. So Zigzag was replaced by 10 tunnels. It was originally the switchbacks up and over the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Let's see. We wanted the satellite view because it is Lithgow's down here, and then Zigzag starts just a little bit up here. Clarence Tunnel West Portal. So Clarence Station. Yep.
Clarence Station. Yeah.
This is where Zigzag Railway starts up at the top, and then they run through. They've got a tunnel. They run along the highway for a bit, and and it's just
the highway actually goes along the original alignment when it was a standard gauge. When it was standard gauge.
Oh, interesting.
The highway was the alignment, and then you went into Clarence Tunnel and then popped out the other side. And then the original alignment continued along the highway for a bit, and then joined in before Bell Station. But
Gotcha.
now there's Dargan's deviation, which eliminated a 1 in 50 both ways dip. It's a massive embankment that you can see during the day as you're going up to Sydney on the train.
Right. Yeah, and so you get to the point that you start paralleling the modern day alignment that is the 10 tunnel alignment, but you come out and you get out once you've run a good chunk of the railway, probably most of the mileage really before the switchbacks.
It's 6.5 miles for top road and then 1.5 miles for middle road, if memory serves me right.
All right, so you've basically run 5 miles then to get to, the top of it here.
To get to 200 feet above bottom points, yeah.
Yeah, and so you're right up here, and then that was the spectacular view where I had to censor myself going, oh shit, because it was just gorgeous.
Ugh.
But the neat thing about it is...
It's a gorgeous view, and it's gorgeous bouncing off the mountain on the other side.
That's right. You're in a natural amphitheater.
The sounds,
this phenomenal echo.
There's nothing like it.
The sounds are absurd in there. I mean, it really.
I think the closest I've come to hearing that in other places has got to be the Mongolo Gorge down near Canberra, which is where you guys went. Which is where you went to get the R class, but it still isn't quite the same as listening to an engine whacking its way up bottom road.
This is spectacular audio, for sure. The neat thing about Zigzag is that, they run around at top points to go down the zigzag, the switchback, and then they run around at bottom points as well, and then their shop is off of bottom points.
So in the members only video, I noticed you say, "Oh, that's quite a hellacious grade out of the shop and in up to bottom points."
Yes,
it's 1 in 17 on 4 road, which is something like 6.5%.
Yeah, stupid.
You hit that thing and run if you want to get out. Do not slip.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you can do it without slipping, even in the drizzle, but it's a bit of a mission.
Yeah. So. It's a very neat railway, and they let you out of the train to watch it run around at both locations. So you get to see the engine do some stuff, you get to experience the thing, and you get to listen to it work its nuts off up and back up the hill. And spectacular, and the crews were just wonderful humans. Maddie, the fireman, is a huge fan of the channel.
Yeah. So Maddie is great. I remember. Let me look up when he sent me the message, but I remember he sent me a message saying, "Are you the Aussie on Hyce's channel?" And I went, "One of a few. Why?" "Oh, I'm watching the latest Railroader episode." "Oh, okay. That's the first time I've been recognised."
That's funny.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. But as a background character, I didn't expect it. So
I'm still yet to have anyone recognize my voice.
That's because yours is a generic accent. At least mine's exotic.
Enjoy keeping that.
Yeah.
I had a funny moment. Natalie and I were we were somewhere in Perth. I don't remember where we were, but one of the guys that we chatted with had recently done some traveling to Canada and was like, "You've got a Vancouver accent," and I was like, "What?" He pegged my accent from Seattle, Vancouver area.
Right there.
It was very funny, and I was like,
"Well, there you go." Just looked it up. Mid-January, he sent me the message, and I went, "Ugh, it's the first time I've been recognised."
That's funny.
Which I was sort of half dreading, but I don't know what I don't know why for. So
no, I don't get because I use gargle my nads on a regular basis.
Yeah, but do you do it around railway people? Like Maddie, I know.
We're worse.
Maddie, I know personally. So
I have said around in my club, in my museum, basically everywhere.
Yeah, Maddie, I know personally, and was sort of going, "Ugh, odd that you would be the person to recognise me," but
right.
And then when you said that Briggsy was the one to line up the cab ride, I went, "Okay,
yes,
well, people probably recognise me than I'm comfortable with," but
right. Yeah, that was
Small world.
it was a great thing.
Very
It was
small world.
very small world and worked out great.
Yeah. Because Briggsy's one of my workmates.
Yeah, it was very funny. Briggsy had offered for a hey, come along for a little ride, kind of situation the day before we went with you, and I was like, scheduling stuff. We'd already had other stuff planned that evening. I was like, sorry, and then that worked out, and it was very funny to see you guys chatting about it later. So.
Yeah, and then we said, I wonder who set that up, and you said who, and I thought,
Yeah. So after Zigzag, we went on down to Canberra, which is the capital, which is a bizarre city in Australia.
It is horrendous. It is horrendous.
It is horrendous and
The
bizarre.
three best things I can personally tell you about Canberra, having spent a little bit of time there, the three best things are the Australian War Memorial, the Royal Military College Duntroon's golf course, and the view in the
and
rear
the side of it in your rear
plane
view mirror.
window as you
Yes.
depart. Yeah. Although it must be said, the
absolutely.
Railway Museum's not bad.
The National Zoo was quite
No,
nice.
the museum's quite nice.
And
It's a shame.
zoo.
Did you go for a walk around the museum, Mark?
The Railway
No, we
Museum, we did a little bit, yeah.
We,
Yeah,
you
okay.
did. Okay, good.
Very
Okay,
a
good.
very
You'd at
short,
least have a look.
quick walk,
It's all right.
quick look.
Next time you're here, we might have to take you for a bit of a longer walk to have a look at things. But
Yeah,
Poke in
that'd
there
be
and
fun.
Poke around.
Yeah,
They got
yeah.
some nice stuff in there.
So we
Not a lot,
They
but
do,
it's quite
they-
nice.
they do, and it's all pretty it's all a pretty good display as well. You can go and have a proper look at it.
right.
The other place next time will be Cowra at the LVR Museum at Cowra. That's a phenomenal little exhibit there where you can just go around and climb up into whatever carriage you find. So
Right.
it's pretty good.
So we left Lithgow going to Canberra, and that was a drive. And Canberra is down south from everything else, from where we were.
It's a 300k drive via Oberon. I don't know which way you guys went. It
We
looked like you
went-
via Bathurst and Crookwell.
We did go through
No, we didn't go that
Bathurst,
way.
so
Oh, no, we
Well,
didn't.
no,
Yeah,
because
that's right, we did too.
you'd have had to have gone through Bathurst to parallel the railway line the way you did. So
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Ignore the fact that I can pick out where you are on the railway line by just looking at it
Look,
from that
Right.
angle.
I just followed the Google Navigator prompts and got wildly excited when I saw the gliding club was flying on as we travelled out.
Anyway, so you get to
Yeah.
Canberra. Canberra is only like 100-year-old city. And it was designed by an
it's
American of all
designed.
things.
Oh yeah, and you designed it badly.
Yeah, I mean, it
You
felt
mean
like
designed it badly? It's not that hard to get. It's not that hard to re-find yourself if you get lost in there.
It-
Turn left enough times, you will end up on an arterial road.
it felt like Epcot
Yeah, well,
at
true.
Disney World.
The
It felt like a fake city.
problem with
It
designed
was
cities. Yeah,
it was very strange.
that's the problem with designed cities rather than places like Sydney and even Melbourne, where it all just splutters out gradually. It all looks the same because I went to visit an aunt there one day and we turned down a wrong street and ended up in a suburb, and we went, oh, that's where her place should be, but the lawn decorations were different. And the only way we could tell it was different is because the lawn decorations were different. The houses and all the streets
Right.
looked identical.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. I tend to keep to Fishwick where the museum and station is, and apart from that, I don't go any further if I can help it.
Yeah. Natalie and I have very much enjoyed the National Zoo in Canberra, but yeah, it was a bizarre place to visit, and then of course the Carillon was awful, but anyway. That was where picnic
yes.
train things happened.
Yes.
So the picnic train, this is going to be a
Yeah.
very fun video to do, and was it was
Vagabond crew.
the Vagabond. I mean, it was so fun to meet all the people with the picnic train, because the picnic train, one, is a neat operation. The video is going to end up being titled something like Australia's Nomadic Train, or the Train Without a Home, or something like that, because they
That's what we are. So
they just run wherever. They go anywhere on the network, and they run wherever the hell they want and can set things up. They don't
Yeah, so
have
in
a
the
dedicated
few years-
Strasbourg Railroad to run on. They just go, hey, we're going to run on the main here.
So in the
That's
few
cool
years that
as
I've
shit.
been here, in the few years that I've been volunteering with the picnic train, they have run from just stretching across a network, Coffs Harbour, Wagga Wagga, or down to Albury now, just the other weekend, and as far out west as Dubbo,
Right.
which is a good
That's
470. it's a good 470 k's from Central in the 3 directions.
Right.
Because you can't go east.
Right.
And
yeah.
it's quite as it was originally described to me when I first was talking to Simone and Paulie some moons ago before I became a volunteer. Hello, picnic train people in the chat. How you doing? Basically, it's a case of we'll find somewhere to go. It's like we want to go here, and then the logistics get sorted out. And because people absolutely love steam train rides, I actually don't know if they ever struggle to turn a profit out of
they
this
just
all.
they just do it, and they bring their locomotive, and they bring their carriages,
Yeah.
and they've got arrangements.
Yeah, we bring everything. We bring an accommodation train, or we book a hotel. Like everywhere we go loves us because we bring so much. We bring so many people to the place. Like the train holds 300 people. You're going to go through all the gunzels in a town pretty quickly. So you have everyone travel in to come and see, and wherever you end up going, if you stay there for a little bit, they all provide for the local business. Like everyone loves us. In another note, I just got a text from my dad saying, "Say hi to Mark." Hello, Mark. There you go.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mick.
Who was my mate on the who was my mate on the trip that we brought Mark for over the mountains.
I never got to tell him, but he sounds like Australian Paul Hollywood from the Great British Bake Off. I don't know if you've ever watched that show, but he's got his voice.
I suspect I'll look it up and go, yes, I see what he means.
Yes. Just him with an Australian accent that made me giggle. He's very, very nice man, and so yes, hello. Anyway, picnic train. This was if the little excursion with I Will Boom was not the highlight or the Great Train Race, this was the highlight. Because the R class, I mean, this is the cab shot. The R class is a powerhouse of a big fucking cool 464. It's a Hudson. It's got the elephant ears, black with the red trim. 6 foot 1 inch diameter drivers that have been turned down to 5'11" apparently, but still like.
And they're not far off condemning it that. But
right,
only losing
big,
2 inches on tire turns, like losing 2 inches on tire turns is not much. So.
Big
Hey,
choo
2 inches is a lot.
Big choo choo. I think this was the only engine that I was on in Australia the whole time that was bigger than 491 by some metric.
Oh, that's right. That was a fun little piece of trivia when you went to the 38er. And
the 3801. I had to tell Daniel, the director of the museum, that 3801's grate was smaller than 491's by about 30%, and he was like, "Well, that's rather that I feel rather emasculated by that."
Yeah. So the grade's smaller than the 59, but the ash pan is the same design between the 38 and the 59. So as much as the 59 has got I think we figured out it was pretty well dead on grade size.
Very
comparison.
similar.
It's still got the smaller ash pan that the 38 has. So
the issue being is 1902 boiler design versus 1943.
Exactly. Yeah. No. 91's got way too much.
So is
ass
91.
She's got way too much ass for what she has. But anyway, this is basically a 200-ton, all said and done, 464. Fucking neat engine.
Baller.
Originally, here we go. Physicist is being wound up. I'm sure right now I can see him in the chat. We can, if you want to join a voice chat, I will let you and Rex duel this out right now. If you want to join ES&D Engine Crew VC, I'll drag you up.
Is this the failed Pacific? Is it?
If you want to have a fisticuffs over this,
not the failed Pacific. This is where I torment Physicist about this being the objectively better R class because it's narrow gauge.
It's the narrow gauge R class.
I thought this was. going to start because the only reason it's a 464 instead of a 462 is because they couldn't fit enough firebox, so they had to stick an extra axle on it. The other joke is so you can fit more granddads in the cab to drive this one.
Pretty much. Oh, here we go. As built, it was 5'3" inch gauge, broad gauge for things in Victoria. It has been converted, literally, to standard gauge, and
converted. Yes.
Fight.
what?
Fight.
But there's nothing to fight about.
fight.
The narrow gauge R class is the objectively better R class because it is
They,
narrow
they
gauge.
can they
I will
convert it
agree
into
with
the
that.
correct gauge. Like,
It is on the
We
proper
could
gauge.
never
hear you, little
As
shit.
it was designed. As it was designed, because the Victorian Railways were seriously thinking about mass standardisation post-war. There were 2 entire classes of locomotive that were built with with basically a drop-out centre frame or centre section in the frame, which is basically what they did to convert it. All they did was pull out. I can't remember the width of the spacer block, but they literally unbolted it from the frames of the R at Rothbury, and then just pushed the wheels in a bit. I think changed something around slightly on the axles. I don't think the axles required to be turned down. The 400 class Garretts in South Australia were built exactly the same way. They were built as narrow gauge engines, but all they had to do was simply turn the wheels a bit and whack a spacer in the frames to convert them to standard, although they decided just to do it with the diesels instead.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not gonna let this go though, motherfucker. God damn.
Oh hey, you saw the vinyl on the cab armrests.
It's true.
You saw the vinyl.
I did. I did.
That's right.
We took a series of images because
When we realised.
Because Rex is very proud of his polishing job, of course, but then
Shiny.
yes, the armrests are marked New
State
South
Rail
Wales.
Authority of New South Wales.
So,
yeah,
and
where it
yes,
should belong.
the fact that this has not been made an emoji in my Discord
It
yet.
is an emoji.
Is
It is an emoji
Oh,
now.
it
Yes,
is.
Okay.
I
It
just
is
did it
one
for you.
now.
I made it when you were telling us about it the first night you got back.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
Thank
Goose
you.
did a great job.
Good,
Good job, Goose. Well done.
good.
You're welcome.
Cheers. I'm glad.
Now we have another
quote,
bastard
I-
one to throw at people.
Yes, we do. To quote another good friend of ours who's also in here, gargle my nads. But
And
in
with
the
that,
back,
What are you complaining about? You've only got umpty gazillion of the broad gauge versions of your own. I don't know why you got to be so possessive about this one.
And, well, look, at
As
least
a
this way
holder-
you can now run to Aubrey again.
Hey,
Yeah.
all
Owner
I'm
of the
saying
copyright of
is
Gargle My Nads, you are being hit with a cease and desist.
you are in the wrong
Oh,
Discord
God.
server to be singing the praises of broad gauge. That's all I'm
Exactly.
gonna say.
That is pretty true. I do have to
Exactly.
say we do need to. Peregrina had asked, "What the fuck is this cab layout about
Yes,
this engine?"
yes.
Which
It's a
we
Stoker
can-
engine converted to oil burning.
Yeah,
is what it
Stoker
is.
engine converted to oil burning,
So the
amongst
Stoker controls
also being
actually-
Australian. So here,
on
let me give
on
let
the
me give the
subject-
brief overview thing here of we haven't talked about this, but there's a meme out there of what is Australian railroading? It is just British and American railroading having a bizarre love child. And you see
what the hell is
that
this?
Yeah,
you
that's
see that
accurate.
very much with this, where you've got the American kind of turret layout up top with all the shut-off valves, everything painted red, got the gauge cluster, but then you've got a British screw regulator, but wait, it's got a squeeze, and it has a quadrant like an American regulator, but then you've got Westinghouse style non-self-lapping air, but Aussie design that is actually
No,
genuinely
that's a modernization by West Coast.
Okay.
That have probably had as built that have had
Would have had
probably
six.
A6. That have had 8,
Yeah.
but it still would have been A6 ET, not just 6 ET, which was built by Westinghouse
Right.
and Granville.
A
Still
6ET
homebuilt.
would have been Australian 6ET, right?
rather than
Correct.
Right.
yeah, Australian 6 ET. Whereas now it's got a B7 brake valve,
Having
so that you can
having
can
operated
talk to the
this
diesels.
having operated this air stand, this is I wish my engines had this. But
Having just been told about it, I wish our engines had.
yeah. Actually, the Goose. The funniest thing is that I wish our engines had vacuum brake after learning about it. But that's for a later
Yes.
conversation. Anyway,
No.
I have a
Vacuum
reason.
brakes
I
suck.
have
You.
I have a reason, and it'll make sense when we get there. But right now,
I
So
feel like I
reason-
know exactly what your
silly
reason
question. Silly question: is it because you run on a 3/4 mile circle of track, or do you want all Yank engines to have vacuum brakes?
no, it's because we run on a half-mile circle of track,
Yeah.
and if
Oh,
you
sorry,
set too
a
much
half-mile.
air,
Sorry.
the fact that that you can just have the vacuum right where you need it in the instant, and you get kind of a graduated release and application. it would genuinely make more sense for the museum than Air would. But anyway,
so it's your engines rather than American.
Yes,
and that's
just
because-
specifically at the museum. Anywhere else, I
And
would want
purely
Air.
because
but
you run on a loop smaller than the racetracks that the car goes on.
correct, yeah. Because the thing is,
yes.
you take your big set, and if you had too much, pound sand. You release it, you wait a little bit, you go back into it. You're probably going too fast. You don't set enough. The hill's not like vacuum would be perfect for that application.
The reason I thought you would bring up was going to be AB valves and waiting 20 fucking minutes for them to charge.
Well, AB valves
Well,
do
there's that
suck,
too.
but
There's
you know.
that too.
Anyway.
The air vacuum is remarkably quick by
Continuing on our
comparison. Anyway, yes.
quest of the R-Class
the R.
cab, you've got a weird kind of modern diesel independent, which I guess now absolutely makes sense now that you said it's
Speaking of,
conversion.
actually,
Originally the number 7 valves were built with they were A7 independents, non-self-lapping ones, and you could only reliably release the independent bailing off on 3 engines,
Right.
which is where the modernization of the non-self-lapping independent came in.
And you slap this guy,
so
and
that way you can
bails
you
the
can
whole
do-
thing.
all you have to do is touch it into bail off, and it'll bail off like 7 or 8 engines.
Yeah,
so
bails off everything. And then basically very similar to a 6CT style air brake valve, except when you bring
With
it
a minimum
to
reduction.
when you bring it to lap, it has a minimum reduction first.
which knocks 7 pound out of it straight away.
Which is exactly what you want. And then
It's a nice juice.
screw reverse, which in this
Power
case.
reverse wheel.
It was originally power screw
That's-
reverse, which I wish it
So,
still had, because it was
originally
Way bit tough.
it was full screw reverse with the big wheel. Then West Coast modernized it to power reverse
Got
with
it.
a little wheel. And then we took the I don't know who took the power reverse.
took the
back
power
off,
reverse
they didn't
off,
put-
but
they
it
didn't
still got the small
They didn't
wheel.
put a big wheel back on.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't have enough. You don't have the inertial moment to actually get it started half the time.
Yeah, spoilers. I was surprised when I got told to wind the wheel out. I went and I've run several screw reverse engines before, and I was surprised at how hard this was. But knowing that it was a power reverse setup, it made sense.
So notice how much room there is between the screw and the wall. That wouldn't happen if it was built with that. The screw reverse would be basically against the wall with the big wheel.
That
But
makes
now that it's
sense.
got the little wheel, it's been moved slightly further inboard.
Right. That makes sense.
On the subject of West Coast, someone has mentioned it in the stream, but one of the still widers, R711, also got, I'm not sure if it's still in operation, but they also got a diesel MU stand in the cab, as well as a double Lempor exhaust that's since been changed back. And in the early 2000s, West Coast Railway were running an R711 usually with a diesel on revenue passenger service.
Yeah,
from
you'll love
Melbourne
to hear
the
it.
town of Warrnambool.
This had the
you can
brackets.
still see the
Line allowed
brackets.
someone who wasn't a government railway to run on their network.
You can see the brackets for the diesel stand on this that had been removed. But yeah, it doesn't have
So
it anymore.
that's where the diesel stand would have been, and then it's still got all the jumper couplings between the loco and tender and the tender. Like it's still got the port on the tender to couple to a diesel engine, but
And all the MU cabling, yep. All the little hoses.
Right.
yeah, all of the MU hoses are still there, which makes double heading with diesels, which we do fairly often at the picnic train, because we run big trains. Like
Right.
the market is there. So just throw on as many cars as we can manage.
Yeah, it was
and
was
just-
hilarious to see the train that you guys ran with this engine this time, and everyone was complaining about getting a leased 48 class instead of something bigger, because you could have sold more tickets with a bigger train with a bigger diesel if you could have had the availability of having it, which was
Yeah,
hilarious.
the 421 they had was bung, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, the 421 was pinched to do VRJ jobs, and
Right.
all the other 421s are occupied, and anything bigger we have to lease
So,
for longer. So
The fire door
it's a
on
bit of a
this,
mission.
I mean, it's a conversion. It's a bizarre oil fire door. I don't know if this is a typical Australian thing, but that's strange to me.
I've
No,
never seen
that's
it
the
in
way
my
it was.
life.
That's the way that was set
No
up
idea.
as Nigel Day modified it, I think. So
the fact it
Because
doesn't
originally
have...
that's the butterfly style door with a stoker motor because
Yeah.
Victorians don't like the shovel.
Yeah, the stoker controls here have been swapped
slander.
into an oil manifold for all your stuff, because as you do.
The main stoker handle got turned into the atomizer. No, not the atomizer.
That's the steam stop, isn't it?
I can't remember. I don't think it's actually hooked up at the moment, because the atomizer's the red valve. The little red valve off to the right of the main stoker handle is for the pilot burner. So you've got the pilot oil there, and then the pilot atomizer is the bottom left red handle down on the manifold next to the that one there. Yep. And then you've got the oil ratchet and injector handle, and the bottommost handle on
the fact
the
that
bottommost handle is for the decos.
this vertical oil valve is bizarre and uniquely to these couple engines, basically, because normally everywhere else it's a left-right kind of setup. So
I know of one other engine with a vertical oil valve, but that will remain secret for now.
Oh dear.
Es Mexicano, isn't it?
I personally think that the vertical ratchet makes more sense in theory, but until I fire something with a horizontal ratchet...
I think it's just convention. I mean, I think this makes sense. A ratchet makes more sense. I happen to know a certain choo-choo that a friend of mine owns that has a basically just a brake valve sprung little guy.
Oh.
And doesn't have notches, and you just bump it around and hope it doesn't get touched.
So something from your adventure at the California State Railway Museum. Did the AC9 have a ratchet, or was it just free floating?
AC12.
Oh, whatever the fuck it is, they all look the same.
The AC9's the only one that's the other way around.
I don't give a shit. It's some weird cab forward bastard thing.
See, had I said this about your R class right now, how would you be feeling?
What? Because that R class is the same as all the other ones? Yes, I would say correct.
I'm surprised there's that many of them around.
Look the same.
As the current resident Southern Pacific large steam foamer, as so is often said on the channel, eat shit and die.
Well,
I'm pretty sure it had a notched
username, so
a notched firing valve, but it's left-right
so
style.
Was it notched or ratchet? Like, was it diesel notches or the ratchet like we've got?
I mean, it's it's notched in the way. Like, you mean you can move this up and down without squeezing?
No. So you have to grab the clasp.
Yeah, then it's the same sort of thing like this, but
okay.
Yeah.
Unlike a diesel where you can just move it between the notches and it will click into discrete.
Right, exactly, correct.
I think the single coolest thing about watching that oil latch in operation was watching Hyce going woo every time the fire had a bit of a drum.
The fire on this engine did some stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta simulate all this.
Yeah, this one's weird because there's no actual ash. There's no grate in it or an actual like full ash pan. There's still bits of it left, but and then it makes it annoying to do the overnight on because it loses pressure so quickly because you've got such an in-draft of cold air because there's no pan or grates. So you have to just sit with it all night, and it gets real old.
Right.
Except, of course, if you're the one who does all the shinies on the cab wall there.
Right. So
well,
it's a neat, interesting locomotive. We kind of went through most of the cab.
The little red handle next to the throttle is the.
That's the blower because you guys decided to have British blower placement because fuck.
Yeah.
Well, that's Victorian blower placement.
On the 59, it's right in front of the driver as a similar to the starting valves up top, but it's just right in front. So,
which is crazy because in West Australia, because we drive on the proper side of the locomotive, the blower controls are right in front of the fireman.
Yeah, okay.
Where they probably ought to be.
I don't know where they are on actual New South Welsh engines, having never worked anything other than the 59, which is an S2, not 200. something or other. I can't remember.
So in which case, yeah, the R's sort of got it in a
design it is.
logical position because it's in a position where the fireman should be reaching for it. So that kind of makes sense.
Rather than having to reach in front of the driver and fiddle with it when you're sitting still. Like, yeah.
That's right. If he draws his chalk line
Many
across
people
the
are
cab,
saying
you're in trouble.
that sound is struggling on the stream. Restart your stream on the viewing end, and apparently that's working. So, yeah.
It may be
happened,
maybe because it came from the other stream or something. I don't know, from the premiere.
Yeah,
Maybe,
something
yeah.
like that. Give it a quick refresh.
I need to race like a piss horse. I'll be back.
Do it.
Easy.
I do have a couple top chats we can blitz through right here now. USS Salem CA-139, could the re-gauged R766 ever do a US-Canada tour? Canada would probably be down to have it. The US, it would need PTC, and that's a whole thing. But that would be the shit post of all time.
PTC could
Vex
have
knows more
prevented
about ice
this.
radio than I do.
I think PTC is preventing it.
Vex, what would be the challenges in going from ice to PTC? Or is that compatible still?
Oh, no.
Ice is just this one box, right?
That's right. So what ICE is it's a combination of GPS tracker. It has a GSM radio in it. It's got mobile telephony. It's got the ability to send and receive electronic movement authorities and receipts of the same. So basically, instead of having to sit down and dictate and receive a written movement authority or train order basically from control, you can do it all through there. It's basically a series of button presses plus a phone call,
Right.
basically. And
So,
then you literally,
that you would have to get this, to work with the PTC system because it has a lot of the similar functionality, but you'd also have to add in all the brake valve shenanigans that.
That's right. Because there is a system
so.
that is currently being adapted for the Transcontinental Railway, so basically Port Augusta to Parkeston across the Nullarbor, which feeds into the ICE system, but it actually has that braking curve set up that PTC does, and sort of following the European train control system. But what they said was we didn't want any trackside infrastructure. Basically, the less stuff for a track gang to maintain, the better.
Yep.
So the system is, I think it's ATMS, they call it, Advanced Train Management System, developed by Lockheed Martin, and it's satellite-based, satellite and mobile communication based, so cell towers basically, and that's how they do it. And it's designed to act as an overlay.
PTC has all of that and more. So I mean, you'd have to manage that, and if you could manage that, then that'd be great. But obviously,
how big's your budget?
So that's the thing.
In the Sydney Trains network, they've got
I will be back
ATS,
in a moment. Hold on.
where they've got the trips for all of the new passenger trains have the ATS trips on them. So if you go past a red signal, it'll dump the air on you. But
Right.
that's about
That's right. It's an older system. Plus, they wanted to bring in the ETCS in cabs and shorten the headways.
The joy, of course, on the US side of things is you'll note that there are 2 US steam engines that have PTC, only one that's gotten to play with it. So it would be, quite the surprise if the R could come over for the US.
Yeah.
Would that be dope as fuck? Duh. But
the only problem is
What I can say is don't threaten Paulie and Simone with a good time. They may actually do it.
Yeah. They would try it. They would do their damnedest to make sure we could do it. But
fun as shit.
Having to fit PTC for a temporary thing, it seems like a misery. So
yeah, PTC's not cheap
on
or
the same
simple.
subject,
So in previous years, didn't the big boy just run with a diesel behind it, which had PTC fitted?
Yes, but it had to have PTC somewhat fitted, such that they could do that, and you could still do that. It would be cheaper.
They still had to be able to interface with the diesel.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
So you basically need the box anyway.
I was about to say because we could put the MU box back in and hook it back up. Would that be about as close as we could get? And then
you'd have to have it. You have to have a PTC CDU, which is the cab display unit, which is basically your ICE radio, but you'd have to have that and tie it back in and Yeah, it'd be a whole thing.
Yeah,
So
this seems like a misery that isn't worth it, but we'll burn that bridge if we ever think of it.
yeah, that's a bridge to burn for later.
Real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt. The organizer of the Team Sugar would like to join us up here. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, no, we can bring William up.
He's coming to see General VC. Cool. He's just in General VC.
Yeah, I see
so
him.
yoink.
Let me drag him up. We're
He's
not
got a lot
quite
of photos to show.
we're not quite to Victoria yet.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 4 of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're outnumbered by Australians in the VC. Let me get through the
We
Canberra
come
stuff
from the
because
land down under.
after the Canberra stuff comes the Victoria stuff. So let me get these top chats and we'll talk about the rest of the picnic train shenanigans because that was amazing. And then we'll get into Victorian not Victorian slander, just Victorian train things. Anyway.
There'll be Victorian standard, don't worry.
Catch me outside. Oh, glad you had a great time. Question: you recently learned that your granddad was a mechanic for the DNRG for a few years in the 1910s in Salida. How might you find out what locos he might have worked on that survive? Well, it's not any of the standard gauge engines, unfortunately, but things that would have worked in Salida in the 1910s.
The C classes,
The
15 through 19.
The 3 C19s that survived, 346, 340, RGS 41.
Any of the K27s? Were
The
they back that era,
K27s,
or
so
late?
463 and 464. And then the 3 C16s that survive, 268, 278, 223. And
Would
then
the C41s have gone through there prior to having the boilers ripped off them?
oh, certainly, yeah. So potentially one
yeah,
of the
So,
potentially
so
the boilers
potentially
of the
91?
K37s, yeah. Potentially.
yeah, just you say 1903 design boiler, and I think, well, that's only
Yeah.
7 years difference, and they didn't
Yeah.
convert the not convert, but
Yeah.
to use a simple word, they didn't convert till what was it, the 40s?
28.
28, yeah.
It's basically the 40s.
Quite similar, yeah. So it's hard to say for sure. You could ask around and try and find maintenance records. I'm sure somebody's got those rat-holed away, but yeah, C16, C18, C19, K27. Those would be the ones that survive that he might have worked on, if I had to guess. Audio tools, audio desynced. We talked about this. Refresh, it fix. CPKC 2816 being fitted with PTC only to run with diesels intensifies. Yeah, I mean, logistically in the States, running with a diesel just makes sense, honestly.
There is a lot of America to cover. Like,
Yeah.
as much as we say we go everywhere, we haven't strayed more than what 400
400 kilometers.
250 k's west, and I think it's some 600. I don't know how far crossover is. Give me a second, I'll do some research.
Distance.
While you do the research, is there any plans for the picnic train to bring that R-Class home?
Not. I have no idea, so don't ask me.
I think the nearest you got was that April Fool's ship post.
Oh yeah, where is that?
The 59
anyway?
abroad. It's getting
I
there.
believe it's
getting
back on
there.
its wheels in Goulburn. I believe it's back on the wheel because they were converting it from plane to roller bearings on the lead and trailing trucks, and I think the tender bogies as well.
Just the trailing truck and
Oh, it's just the trailer.
and the
Okay.
bogies, I think. So, because the lead truck doesn't
Speaking-
need much oil.
Yeah, that'll be
Speaking of
nice.
converting, is this where we remind Hyce about the South Australian engines that were built narrow, then converted to broad on the cursed train stream?
Oh, the 830s.
The T class and the TX class.
Oh, that's right. Yes, because well, what else do you do when you've got motive power shortages on a different part of the network and a surface of spare engines? Makes
It's
perfect
fine.
sense to me.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, and
fine.
It's fine.
the thing that I've
It's
told
fine.
Mark as well is that they kept the tenders narrow as well and just added an extra wing at the foot plating to make it match.
Gents, I want to keep the story of the trip moving along,
Sorry.
and we'll be getting to Victoria.
Sorry.
Just a quick second. One more thing. Brian said restart app does fix it, so yeah, make sure you restart.
Yeah.
So picnic train was spectacular and fun, and the people were amazing. we turned up there. Natalie and I had a day tootling around at the zoo. That's where a lot of the bird clips came from. National Zoo in Australia. And it was just a lot of fun. And then we came back, and we were sitting down right after we came back from the zoo with Rex, and Rexy just said, "They're watching train porn next door," because we were staying in the same kind of apartment setup as
Can we say that on this
everyone else.
channel?
And so we went over to meet the picnic train folks, and I have never. I mean, it was just like watching a mirrored version of me and my friends from the museum. We've done the same thing, like me, Jeff, Dusty, Brett Late, everyone all around the TV, putting on, Rio Grande in the 60s footage. And here they were, Australian edition, all the Aussies, everyone watching the Australian shenanigans on the TV and having food and drinks. And it was just, it was just exactly the thing of like, all the Steam people are, the people who really do this are all the same.
My brain cell.
They just really are. Doesn't matter what country, doesn't matter who you are. We're just the same in so many ways, and it was so funny and so neat to see.
The accents and languages are a bit different, but
right.
It doesn't matter.
But beyond that, the love of trains and the insanity and everyone saying "fuck trains" was about the same.
Fuck trains. Why did it have to be trains?
Why did it have to be trains? It was all the same thing. So, they were running all weekend. Saturday, we were touristy and all that. Sunday was the day that we were there. Early on Sunday, I got to do the. I was just foaming around with their media guy, Lucas, who's wonderful.
Yeah.
And that was where the that cool shot of the R class going into the tunnel came in from, which was this shot. I mean, obviously this is not color corrected because I'm not in my edit or anything, so this is just raw off the camera, but just like such a cool engine, pretty consist, everything. We chased that first train, which was just a joy, and it was a very fun chase because it was like, oh yeah, no, there they are, and they're ahead of us, Lucas. Turns out his girlfriend was the driver on the helper diesel on the other end, and he had kept calling her about slow down for us to get shots. And that was
all one big family there. Like
it was funny as shit.
I hate to say it, Mark, but you have been claimed.
I've been claimed by Picnic Train, which I'm alright with.
They do that.
Because
the
Picnic Train people were just so delightful. I mean, Polly and Simone, the owner operator, I mean, they're just amazing, wonderful people, just loving and cool. And then seeing all of Simone's kids just being involved and loving the whole thing, like that was too neat. I don't know who's watching or not, but shout out to Macca. Good friend of the channel, of course, one of Simone's sons, so hopefully that clip will at least get sent to him if and when.
Having done my research, it's about 400 miles in each direction, north and south out of Sydney, so up to Coffs Harbour and Canberra on the north side, and then down to Albury on the south side.
All right, so fair amount.
Yeah, and look, most of that was done with the 59. The R class hasn't gone particularly far.
Right, the R class is more recent.
Yeah, so the furthest north it's going to be Gloucester, which we can't run to. Well, it's impractical to run to anymore because they've shut the coal loop that we were turning the engine on. Which, that was an interesting last trip where we get to the coal loop and we find, there's 40 wagons there. Well, this will be an interesting trip home. It was a very slow trip home. 40k an hour, 10 to foot.
Yeah.
Oh joy.
So this was this was second trip, first trip foamed, second trip I put cameras on the engine on the front and then looking at the drivers right here. And we got to the point where we're out on the flats right around here, which is what included the video. Where I remember sitting up in the cab of the engine and being bounced up and down to death going, my GoPro's in the dirt somewhere in the middle of Canberra, somewhere east. Like, there ain't no way my camera is still attached to this fucking locomotive. Like, but, you know...
Yeah, no, they were hammering on that second trip.
it stuck on, and they just, you know, blitzed the hell out of it. And it ended up being some really cool footage.
I'm surprised it didn't overheat being that close to the box.
It got enough
especially what
air.
They pulled on us at the foreshow later.
That's a given. You complained during the foreshow, yeah.
Ah, this is bad.
It's because it was moving. It did the thing. So that was.
There's airflow over it. So yeah.
Yeah.
That was spectacular. So that was the first and second trip, right? Second trip foamed, and I was riding in the cab, and that was where all those different phone clips were coming from of just, you know, some of the engine work and violently bouncing around, doing the quick thing, and it was just amazing.
Short manual does that when you're doing 80 k's an hour.
Right, 80 k's an hour being 50 mile an hour, and I got off the engine, and there was good time between trains, and it was like, all right, well, I want to interview Polly and Simone, the owners of Picnic Train, and chat with them about it so I could put some stuff together for the video. And Rex and I had gotten up early that morning and didn't sleep super well the last night and everything. And it was like, all right, well, you know, I want to try and put this together, you know, and then I, you know, man, we're going to try and do the 3/4 show thing, which the 4 show is what we ended up calling it. We want to do a 3/4 show thing. I want to shower. I want to get a beer. Like, I'm ready to be done. And we're interviewing Polly and Simone, and I finished the interview with Polly and shake his hand, and I wish I had it on camera. He just goes right afterwards, So Mark, why don't you come on the 3rd trip for a bit of a drive?
Look on your face.
And I went, oh, and it was funny. I don't think Natalie's watching anymore, but Natalie and I had been talking the night before, and you know, this is something that I need to probably talk with my own therapist about, but you know, I never expect anything going into anything. You know, I would rather be excited by what happens, and be provided cool things. I never try to expect him because, you know, I don't know. It feels icky to be like, oh, I'm cool and people should give me stuff. That feels gross, you know. So to me, it's like,
you never ask for it.
Whatever happens,
No.
whatever happens. You never ask, you never say no. Exactly, you guys get it.
And also, if you come into something with zero expectations, you are always going to be surprised.
Right. So there's that, and Natalie and I had been talking about it, and it was funny. She was like, "Are you excited?" And I was like, "Well, like, no." But because, like, I know it's going to be cool and, you know, a neat thing, but I'm like, I'm not excited about it. And she didn't understand it. She processes things differently, and that's welcome to being humans. That's how that works. But I remember distinctly telling her, like, they're not going to fucking let me drive the damn thing. Ain't no way in hell. I said all that shit. Like, that would never happen. You know, part of the joking thing... Part of the joking thing coming down was Rex saying, you know, yes, come see Steamfest and the great train race and everything. But part of it was, hey, mate, we got to go meet Space Railroading together. Which he commented on a
throwaway comment a year ago on a COS
on a Century of Steam vlog on the Patreon for my buddy Mark. And so I had expected at some point during the trip that we'd do some Meet Space Railroading. I did not expect it to be on the biggest locomotive I've ever gotten to run, at the fastest speed I've ever gotten to run. I did not, not in the slightest.
And then again the next day, but that didn't happen.
No, unfortunately.
And much to physicists' absolute joy, a personal speed record on a Victorian Railways engine.
Yep.
Not Victorian, it's a picnic train engine.
Okay, Rex,
It's no longer.
can we-
Stop being Victorian when we converted it to the right gauge.
Okay, Rex, can we at least handshake on this one thing and just both take the W for this? Please.
Everyone can have the W. Anyway,
Largest and fastest so far.
Polly told me, why don't you come with us for the third trip for a bit of a drive? And I pulled up my phone and had to call Natalie and was like, hey, somebody else is going to take you to the hotel. They just told me that I get to drive. And at that point I was like, yes, I'm now excited. Now I've been told you get to drive Big Choo Choo.
You get to be excited now, yes.
And so I got to drive Big Choo Choo. And I mean, that was amazing. And I was focused on the experience. The footage I have of it is not terribly great because I threw my GoPro up where I figured it would capture some footage and all that, and I was not gonna have it anywhere near me. I was not about to be trying to fuck with the GoPro while I was running this thing, and I just remember getting sat in the seat and then being asked, "Have you ever run this brake valve before?" And it was the B7 brake valve, and I actually got to go, yes, actually. For reasons.
And that's as far as that story will go on this live.
Correct.
Right? Yes, actually. And then it was just, taking it over from there, and I look over at the Speedo, and it says 80 k's an hour, which is 50 mile an hour, and we're fucking bouncing up in the seat, and you watch the fucking scenery going by like that. It's like, oh shit, oh my god, I'm in charge of this mess right now. Oh my god, and, got to whip it up, and Rex was firing. Rex is doing a firing trial as an oil fireman. It was your first time firing oil.
Correct.
And you were firing oil, and I got to run while you were firing for a little bit. So we meet space railroaded on a 200-ton Hudson at fucking track speed out of Canberra.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here in the front carriage on the train. And I'm just sitting back in the guard seat, not paying attention, just listening to the engine work. And one of the other guys in the guards compartment says, "Who's driving this thing? It doesn't look like Paul." And I go, what are they wearing? And he goes, "Oh, I don't know, they ducked back inside the cab." And I go, "Oh, get out of the window. I'm going to stick my head out." I stick my head out, and I see this grey sleeve extend from from the driver's seat of the engine. I go, "I recognise that shirt."
Yeah.
And then I'll never forget your face when you got off the engine back at Canberra, and you were still beaming ear to ear, And I don't think I could have wiped that smile off your face if I tried.
That was the thing. That was the biggest thing about it. I was thinking about it later, and I'm like, there's only one steam engine in the States right now that could legally do that speed. And it's the big boy, and they're not gonna do it. And I got thrust into this engine doing that speed, and it's the big engine, and it was just, I had no clue, no expectations, no nothing, and got to give it the go with knowing that it was such a good group of humans that surround it. That was the thing that really made it too, was this is not you got put into the hot shot, bullshit, whatever. This is a cool group of people that are doing a cool service, and I got my 10 minutes of it or whatever it was. Yeah, I guess as Rex keeps saying, I've been abducted. I've been stolen into it. So.
And next time you die by the shovel.
Yeah.
I will gladly die by the shovel on the 59 class.
Yeah,
I'd be quite alright with that.
Doing 50 mile an hour.
Yeah, that's gonna be a time. It's fine.
I can hear the pain in your voice from here.
It's gonna be a time.
And not through the call.
It's gonna be fine. So here is my GoPro footage. Yes, actually. There it is. You driven this brake valve before? Yes, actually. Okay. Roll up to about 45. About 45, is that a minimum? Bail off the engine, yeah? And Alex.
And you can hear Alex coaching Alex on the other side.
Yeah, Alex, and then yeah.
Too many in that railway.
And
Too many
Alex
of
Parsons and Simone and Paul have a fetish for collecting people with the same name, I swear.
Apparently, yeah.
I'm not the only will there, so.
That's true.
Yeah, somewhere around here is when
There we go.
I start getting bounced around the cab, and there was a moment when I'm bouncing up around the cab and I looked at the speedo and it said damn near 80 k's an hour, and I looked out the window watching all this shit go by, and I'm like, can I go back to doing 10 miles an hour in a circle?
Hell no.
I
Well,
don't.
correct answer is yes.
I don't know if
Yes,
I
you
mean,
can,
obviously I
but
can,
You'll be
but
envious the entire
but-
time.
but at
Every
the same
mountain goat
time,
has to run at some point.
That's
at
it.
the same time, yeah.
No, I'd hardly call the R-Class a mountain goat.
Yeah,
Going to the game chat, I've got the people who are doing the kind of as a loop to the museum every 30.
Physicist, your mic's underwater, mate.
Alright.
And yeah, do steam engines do the dance? Yes, they do.
And this is probably the best angle of it, because you're sitting on the next vehicle back. Like,
Yeah,
you've got
this
the
is
GoPro
the
on
camera's
the
on the tender. Now you
You're
can
watching
watch
the
what the engine's
bounce
doing.
relative to it.
This also proved a point that I had about people kind of complaining about the shaking in the newest dev log.
It's real.
Well, not
This
that,
is what it does.
but
No,
The
but
fact
your
that the
body
camera-
suspends it separately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
correct.
Yep.
When you are there, actually sitting there, your body stabilizes itself relative to the outside world. Your view isn't
Yeah.
coupled with the
Your
swaying
legs
of
are
the
never
engine.
your legs are never dead straight, not absorbing anything. You've always got a bend in your knees,
Right.
and you're always
The-
compensating
the-
for it.
It is
The-
quite
the-
literally sea legs.
The reality of it is that your head is bobbing, but it's bobbing differently. And if we're gonna simulate that in the video game, all we're gonna do is make people puke. So
Yeah, yeah. The place that you really feel it is if you've got a bit of a gut and you feel your gut bouncing, like you feel it bouncing separately to your head.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. The one
Well,
thing
mine
I
isn't
do
quite
I
that
do
far,
want
but I
to
can feel
do
the
for Sim,
context.
other than of course all the fire spitting around the door, oil burner stuff that I haven't done yet.
yeah, the door doesn't seal well.
One thing that I would like to do is try and give some amount of feeling of the seat, of acceleration, just moving the camera back and forth slightly, subtly.
Little shift, yeah.
A subtle shift of your position in the seat to feel, hey, I've got braking, or hey, I've got acceleration.
The other thing
Yes.
would be is the other thing you could do is tweak the FOV by 1 or 2 degrees.
Right,
And
something
that way-
something
very
like that
slightly.
to just make it
That way it feels like
you
your head is moving.
that
but it
feedback, because that's the biggest thing is when you're running an engine, it is the feeling of the seat in your ass that tells you what you're doing.
That's right.
So,
And the other thing that I was watching a Derail Valley episode earlier today, and you'd had the brakes hard on, and you were complaining, I can't see water in the glass, and I thought that's normal.
yeah,
But I don't think any game has actually simmed when you're doing 80 k's an hour and put the brakes on.
the water
The
disappears.
water will slosh to the front
Yeah.
of the boiler.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you guys would experience it much at the museum.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we do.
The way you
Yeah.
guys
all
run.
the time.
Yep.
Is that okay.
It's enough.
Okay, so
It's enough.
even doing the 10 mile an hour is enough. But yeah, it's something that I haven't seen in a game. You put the brakes on and you watch the water disappear out of your glass, and you go, "Oh, hang on, it's just because the brakes have come on."
Yeah.
And then you watch it come back. The other thing that you don't tend to notice much is because we do a lot of tender first running at the picnic train, you feel it the other way. You feel the brakes come on, or if you're not paying attention, you don't feel the brakes come on, and then you look at the glass and go, "Why is the water out of the top of the glass?" Because you've got the brakes going. Because you've got the brakes on going backwards, and so all of the water has now sloshed into the glass.
Right.
So
By the physics at play here, I would like to make a suggestion that if you slam into the back of a train too hard, you get ejected from the cab.
So we don't even just see it from the slosh at start or stop. We do see that, but I mean, our grades are so steep that we're basically always running with the water out of the glass one way or the other.
Right. That's the thing is when you're getting into the air, you set up a thing and you feel the train bite. You're already so far into a grade that it sloshes out the last bit and then comes back up, and you see the slosh because you're already at the extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only when you're on the sort of the shallower grades like 1.8 and below where you put the brakes on fast and you watch the water slosh one way or the other depending on which way you're facing.
We still see it slosh quite a lot even when stopping. I mean, it's just it is the nature of the thing, depending on how exuberant the engineer may or not be too. So
I do have a question.
But
at one point, just at any point during this trip, did you make a reference to Meet the Sniper? Because if you did not, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed in you.
I did not, and you should be disappointed. There was an ADHD thought in my mind of trying to ask Rex to start to do it while he was driving us somewhere once. And then
driving's a perfectly legitimate business.
That was a thought that flew away in my brain, and that was that. So, yeah.
Oh, something for next trip then.
Yeah, something for next trip for sure.
You put Mum on the phone.
Yeah, put Mum on the phone.
Just looking at your screen and seeing the image of my mug as I'm getting paid, going, ugh. That's right. I exist on the internet now.
You're not on stream at the moment. This is just the.
Oh, okay, you've gone back to your face cam. That's right. I'm already in the two vlogs. Like,
you're in the
my
vlogs.
face exists now, so
yeah,
you exist.
But speaking of,
it's time for Victorian slander.
It's going to be time for me to use the restroom, and then we will slander the Victorians. I mean, you can slander the Victorians right now, but
it's more fun. It's more fun watching me not quite comprehend Melbourne traffic.
Technically, I am South Australian. I just happen to live in Victoria.
Why was broad gauge a mistake? Okay, be right back.
Yeah,
it was a mistake because how are you going to curve?
Victorians weren't quite so worried about
British
turning.
When all you're talking about is 2 feet of difference between 3 foot and 5'3", like
they can speaking,
curve
the Victorian
just as well
loading
as
gauge is tiddly.
Compared
to what it could conceivably be.
There are places where the New South Wales loading gauge is wider than the Victorian loading gauge.
The South Australian broad gauge loading gauge is slightly wider than Victoria as well. That's why it's fatter and it's more squat, and that's why when we ran that South Australian engine to Victoria 30 odd years ago, it couldn't make it to Melbourne.
Platforms were too tight.
You found the tunnel, did you? Or do you guys even have
in
Victoria?
When they took 621 out to Victoria, they could only go as far as Bacchus Marsh because the cylinders would hit the platforms if it got any closer, and even just getting to Bacchus Marsh, they had to run through some goods loops at places like Horsham just to get past the platform.
Yeah, which is part of the issue we actually encountered with the R class is we had to bring the cylinders in a touch, and I think the brake cylinders on the trailing track had to be moved inboard a touch to actually fit parts of the New South Wales loading gauge. But most of the New South Wales loading gauge is narrower than the Victorian one. And I come back to, do you guys actually have a tunnel in Victoria, excluding your city loop?
Elphinston and Big Hill on the Bendigo line.
There you go. There is, in fact, a tunnel on the Victorian network.
Apparently, there's also a hill.
There were also, I think there was a few on the South Gippsland main line down towards Leon Gather, but I'm not sure. A lot of it was super winding.
Between Bathurst and Sydney, there are 12 tunnels, and then once you're west of Bathurst, there's no more tunnels.
You've got a Italy tunnel in Geelong.
Yeah. On the north, on the north line, there's a few going down Nosebleed Hill. I mean, Cowan Bank. Sorry to all of you. Sorry to all of you North cunts out there who think that's a hill. Am I allowed to say that word on YouTube? Even during the stream?
Too late.
Too late now. You've said it on the radio.
We'll have to question Mark when he gets back.
There may be
penance. Whether we're allowed to say that word again, but
bad.
Yeah, my main rant around Broadgate versus Standard is going all the way back to when the railways were starting to be founded. Before Federation, each of the states was a separate colony. South Australia agreed broad, Victoria agreed broad, New South Wales initially went broad, then at the very last damn moment went standard.
Yes, because the Irishman that they appointed to do the job in New South Wales was such a rotten, drunk and miserable individual and burned every bridge that he had that they sacked him in disgrace. Unfortunately, that's why they got another Irishman.
It also meant that we could order a proven design from the Brits rather than having to change the gauge on it. So
and that was the unfortunate part, because by the time the changes were communicated to Melbourne, sorry guys, our stuff's already on the boat. And that's where it all began.
Same with South Australia as well, with the Goolwa Port Elliot line that they were building at the exact same time. And then
WA and Queensland just went and fucked it up even further by going 3'6".
So it was cheap.
Yeah. And the ironic thing is that Melbourne's first, like Victoria's first line from what's Flinders Street to what's now Port Melbourne, is now a tram line. That is standard gauge. So it's like
that's right. You lost in the end anyway.
Your trams are the correct gauge. I forgot that. Yeah. Whereas now, the first line in New South Wales, owned by the government, was Redfern, which was called Sydney at the time, which is why people think it was central to. It started central. No, it started at Redfern, which was called Sydney, and then it went from Redfern to Granville, which was called Parramatta at the time. So you had Redfern to Granville, which was called Sydney to Parramatta, which adds an extra about 4 Ks. Probably not quite even that much, but it's probably about 3 or 4 Ks of extra trackage in modern day from Central to Parramatta than it is Redfern to Granville, called Sydney to Parramatta. And that was the first line in New South Wales for everyone.
Wasn't the first line up in Queensland? Wasn't even in Brisbane. It was like near Ipswich or something like that.
Grantchester, yeah, that's the one.
What Australianisms are we on about at this moment?
Talking about the first line.
We're gauging the issue again.
Gauging.
Yeah, the issue of gauge.
And the time that I mentioned that
with this group that's in here right now. I mean, we've got Physicist, we've got Rex, we've got MTT365, and we've got I Will Boom. I would love to find a way. I don't know if it makes sense for me to do it or MTT if you would do it, because MTT does wonderful things on YouTube as well. He was the one who gave me the GAN
his videos are great. Go subscribe to him.
Literally does
if there's
Aussie
there's one thing to take away from the stream,
stuff.
Go subscribe to. What's your name on YouTube, Will?
William Adams 79 something or other. It's just the auto-generated one. It's fine.
DM me a link to your channel, and I'll post it in the chat. Yeah.
And yes, there is a the project is underway as well.
I know you've got the tea and sugar very much underway. I've seen your progress.
Yeah. Well, for reference to the YouTube chat, William here is the guy that did the GAN, like the hand GAN.
Exactly.
That's him.
He came up with he was posting about it in his script about the hand GAN, and he was the one who gave me the damn beer can too. He was posting about it, and I messaged him just saying like, "Hey, can I tell this story as part of the 3/4 show?" Because it was an amazing story, and of course we riffed on it, and we didn't really get all the details right, and that's the way the 3/4 show format works out. But
well, except when he's hosting, which is
hosting, which did happen. The 4 shows, spoilers, between Picnic Train and Victoria, we sat down, and I Will Boom, Rex Anger, myself, and then MTT365 all sat down and did a 3/4 show type segment, a citation needed from MT365 that was hilarious about the end of the narrow gauge in South Australia. And That was spectacular, and I'm just hoping that the audio and internet issues didn't fuck us, and I'm hoping that I won't have to deal with it.
I've tried to send the screenshot that I have. It's 14 gigs, 2 and a bit hours long, and in 8 hours it only got to 17% on YouTube.
Oh dear. Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting sitting in their hotel in Canberra, and we're trying to talk to Will, and we're going, "Fuck, this internet is garbage."
Right.
And at first Rex tried his hotspot, but because he's from the other side of the country, I don't know what his carrier was like, and it just felt odd.
Playing ball.
But my phone ended up having 2 bars of 5G, so I ended up hotspotting Mark's laptop.
Yeah, so I think I think it was saved. I think by of course I will boom. We're gonna have to see down the road if that. I hope it'll edit out.
Crying shame if it didn't.
It'd be crying shame if it didn't. And I think at worst I might just have to ask you to punch in some words that might have been skipped out, like just record a quick hey, say this. And we'll figure it out. I think it should be publishable. So, but
one fun treat as well for you is the Garrett that you saw at Zigzag does have a starring role.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, the Garrett at Zigzag is 402, which I heard the number come up, and I should have said something on the video, but I thought, that's the one at Zigzag. I know that one. Yep. I've seen that one.
Yeah. So that was quite fun. I've got
related to the gauge issue,
but this is just bringing it back. I would love to do a video, or maybe MTT, you do it on your channel because you do the history stuff so much better. I mean, I love the history and I love learning it. I'm just bad at conveying it, and researching on that level is not my skill set. My skill set is the general and trying to communicate the general thing to a general audience, right? But I would love to see a video that is an explanation of gauge in Australia, because
it's a fucking shit show.
It just is.
Having sworn twice in that sentence, that was the other thing that I had to ask.
Third time's the charm.
The C word, the C word on stream. I've already used it, so.
God damn it!
It's fine. It's fine.
And finally, that do I
have to censor myself furthermore, or am I allowed to use it? Not with free will, of course.
Just go ahead. It's late on stream, and if anyone makes it this far in the VOD, ye be warned. See you next Tuesday. Might happen.
It has already happened.
Fluent Australian next 32 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it has already happened.
I was gonna say I didn't hear anyone say cunt.
No.
Anyway.
It was one off leading. I was given the Newcastle depot shit, but and I thought, no, let's say that. But it was only after I said it that I went, I should probably have asked that first.
It's fine. It's fine. At this point in the stream, it's fine.
I figured as much.
So, yes, gauge in Australia, fucked. Would love to see a video about it, because standard gauge, New South Wales, Cape gauge, Queensland, Cape gauge, West Australia, Cape gauge, 2-foot gauge, standard gauge, South Australia, 5'3" gauge, Victoria.
South Australia,
a little bit of 3-foot.
South Australia was all 3.
Was South Australia
was all 3 for quite a while, because they had standard gauge in places. Yeah, it's still got all 3. But when the original GAN line was 3'6", why would you build Alice Springs to Darwin as 3'6"? You do not lack the loading gauge to go standard or even broad. Even go broad to standardise with the rest of the South Australian network.
Yeah.
One of the really funny things as well is I've shown Mark after the handgan video came out, I showed Mark a clip from the 1980 video, The GAN is Going, and they're talking about the journey from Adelaide to Alice Springs. And at that point, it was standard gauge Adelaide to Port Pirie, broad gauge Adelaide Port Pirie, standard gauge Port Pirie Maree, narrow gauge Maree to Alice Springs.
Yeah, you
The,
guys fucked it up even worse than the rest of the country did.
Just silly.
Now, to connect from the gauge issue to the Victorian chaos, the ironic thing for Victoria is that our first train line from Melbourne, now known as Flinders Street Station, to Port Melbourne, started off as broad and is now a tram line, which is standard. And with that segue, we go to the first clips of the Victorian thing. Now, Hyce, did you encounter a hook turn?
I deliberately tried to avoid them.
Yeah, I don't think so. So we encountered.
I made conscious efforts to stay the hell away from that sort of
the bits of the trams we saw were the bits of the trams we saw, and they were. It was bizarre to see.
The hook turn is far worse than any tram bullshit that they've got.
Oh yeah,
essentially.
The Melbournese are horrid for making you know what a U-turn is, Mark. I don't know.
Yeah.
If they call it something else. Yeah. So they make U-turns in the middle of traffic.
Yep.
Essentially,
So
you turn right, you pull to the left, you pull into the intersection on the green light from the road you're coming from, and then you turn into the road you're going to once their green light starts. So you're in the middle of the intersection waiting for the green light for the road you're about to enter.
Yeah.
So maybe
No.
the R class is narrow gauge. That's
The
what I'm
R-class is
learning.
narrow gauge.
Yeah. So even worse than that, they'll make hook turns through ongoing traffic.
My
I was
God.
in stop-start traffic. I was in stop-start traffic in Melbourne one day, and there was a gap the width of a car between us and the truck in front of us. And there was some bloke on the shoulder, then decided to do a U-turn between us and the truck into blind traffic, and then keep going the other direction. It was
Okay, so you got.
I'm glad to drive in
Bitch,
Sydney,
which is
not
just-
Melbourne.
My God.
You-
Okay.
in the States, we got what's called flipping a bitch, which is just doing a U-turn right in the middle of the road, and then you guys have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It's
it's
fine.
funny. I live
fine.
in the country comparatively, but the same weekend you were in Melbourne, I was in Melbourne, and I've not really done many hook turns up until that weekend. Yeah, I did a few.
It,
The only safe way.
it apparently
the only
happens.
safe way is keep turning left. Even if you have to go a couple of blocks out of your way, just keep turning
Oh
left.
yeah.
All right. So
So even further on the gauge issue, we have Puffing Billy, which was owned by the Victorian Railways, government-owned operation,
at 30
which was
inch
2'6".
gauge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see Puffing Billy. No one else can at the moment. We're gonna get to Puffing Billy in just a second because that was basically the length of the Victorian visit. But I've got top chats that I'm behind on by quite some time. So, Audrey Tolles, you're only a few minutes behind, but you're the only one that likes the look of the non-color corrected video more in a lot of railroad video stuff. I can understand that color corrections is an art and a science. I mean, it's a little bit of both. But in the case of my stuff, I mean, when I show something that I say is not color corrected, I hope that you don't like it. I'm glad that you do, but you shouldn't like it because of the process that I have to do to color correct it. My camera that is presently, I wiped most of the names off this trip, but you can see Rex is at the bottom of it, Nicholas Downs, Ezekiel Blackbird, names on cameras. You toss money at the channel, your name goes on gear. That's how that works. And then some asshole, I'm sorry I couldn't show you this in person, Will, but somebody
Do I have to go find the stream now?
something like that. But anyway, William Grantham on my wide angle lens, because you were the person around the time when it happened. But anyway, so anyway, the camera that I shoot with, I shoot in a format that is it like squishes all the colors and saves them as a separate file, and then it gets re-zhuzhed, and so if it's not color corrected, you're not seeing what the camera actually saw. So like it looks very grayscale. So if I pull up footage that is not touched of
it does look a wee bit washed out.
It looks washed out and weird because that's what it does.
Even cameras that do give you everything that the camera sees, the camera doesn't see everything the human eye does. So you still want to touch it up so that it's more accurate to what you saw in person, than what the camera actually saw. And there are people who take that to they go over the top, like
and they make it too much.
Greens are so highlighted, and that's the color correction that most people see, and that's why they think, oh, I don't.
But yeah, this is raw off the camera. The details just
it looks like shit.
It just doesn't look good at all, because that's the
knowing what that engine and those cars and that countryside looks like. I know what that's meant to look like. I can make it look like that in my head, but you can't make a camera straight off the bat do that.
Exactly.
That's what you see.
That's why the color correction is important. So I hope that makes sense. You know, it's not like trying to like excessively stylize it. It's just trying to make it look like it looked. I Will Boom said it well. William Nimmo, vacuum. Vacuum is for tubes, not brakes. Hello, all you guys down under. Glad to see you smile. Hyce, this shit is so interesting. Bird, guitar, train, guitar, banjo. Tell Merchman, thank you for getting decals.
Banjo.
Will do.
You missed Iron Train.
Oh, I did miss Iron Train. So beside the stupid thermodynamic steam supply problems this would cause, how would baffles interact inside the boiler? The Santa Fe tried it. Santa Fe tried it, and they had baffles that interstitially supported the tubes, and they scaled over and caused all kinds of circulation problems and made it so that water did not go places and boilers would fail.
They did what baffles were designed to do, which was prevent the water from moving.
They stopped things from moving. So
all of the Orcs water tenders that we've got here have baffles inside them, so that way as the water drains from them, you're not getting, like, if you've got a half full tank and you put the brakes on, it's like we were talking about earlier with the water glass.
Exactly.
You're gonna feel all the water slosh away from your intake slot, and you're not going to get any water to the tender, which is why all of our Orcs tenders had water gins, for people who speak correctly. That way you don't get the sloshing around and the water stays at the inlet valve for flowing into the tender.
Right.
But
so you're not getting that horrible wallop every time you put the brakes on. Or
exactly.
Put the power in.
That's why the Eureka was limited in terms of speed. They tested it at US Gypsum and ran it up past 35 or 40 miles an hour, and the tender started to die because it had no baffles, and the water was vibrating and going around and sloshing so much it was going to throw the wood off the side of the tender. And
especially if you start accelerating, like you open the throttle and you feel the water slosh away from you. Like the tenders don't have it as much.
The baffles are extremely necessary.
Certainly not down at the bottom. But so the tender on the R class doesn't have it. But the tender on the R doesn't have it. Or not? No, it does have it, but they're not. They're mostly in the top 2/3.
But
it's mostly in the top 2/3.
Yeah,
and limes.
There was actually a 1958 derailment on the tea and sugar train because of the lack of baffles. They had a few water tanks attached to supply the towns on the line. Going through rough track out there, and water sloshing around caused the tank car to tip over.
That would do it. Like that would do it. There's a reason for all that stuff. It turns out water weighs a lot. So anyway,
which is why you tend to have baffles in the boiler.
How to work that in there.
Electrawolf, hopefully NSWGR D5711 will be fully statically restored by the next time you decide to travel in here.
So that classification is wrong. It is a D57 class, but the locomotive number is just 5711. It's a tiny thing, but you say D5711 and you think, oh, that was a diesel on the in Port Kembla or something. But no, it is a D57 class.
And I know I heard Will twitching.
The number is just 5711.
Gotcha.
It's like if you call it the C3801. No, it is a C38 class. It is V3801. Yeah,
that makes sense.
And it has to be the.
At least that's Victorians be sense.
It is V3801. Yes.
Yeah. Patrick McNeely, all these goobers know nothing about driving. Wait until they learn about the jug handle in New Jersey. It's illegal to make a left-hand turn here. New Jersey is a special brand of stupidity we don't have time to get into. We don't have time to get into it.
Left-hand turn. Our left-hand turn is on the right side of the road.
Okay,
Correct.
you guys are fine.
You guys are making a left-hand turn across traffic. We're making a left-hand turn with traffic.
Yeah.
Well,
Alligamer, Crikey, mate, glad to have you back safe and sound. I have been here for 14 months. I can't believe you've been here for 14 months, dude.
Has it only been 14 months?
It feels it feels like I met Alligamer at EBT. I mean, that's when I actually met you, but you know,
the furniture.
Yeah.
Time is a construct. I've been in this community for almost 2 years at this point.
We're coming up on 3 years of members, which I will boom.
My membership. I just looked at my membership, and it's got 28 days until it ticks over to 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
It was sometime in the 20s in May is our 3 anniversary, so we'll do something special for that. I don't know.
Whatever you say, I'm a day after anyway, so we'll always disagree on what the actual date is.
Yeah, my anniversary in this community is April 14th, off the top of my head, I think.
I love that. Audrey Tolles, now that you think about it, your enjoyment of the non-color corrected might be due to your enjoyment of old RAW footage where there was no color correcting availability. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, old footage is going to look like old footage. My footage that looks...
It's also going to be far less color washed because it doesn't have the sophisticated color correction tech that your camera does.
Right, exactly.
So
that's the thing.
It'll still have a more natural color coming in than your camera gets going out.
The color correction on my camera is not just to like make it look more real or whatever. It is literally to correct for what the camera does. So
yeah, the way a camera sees things and the way the human eye sees things are fundamentally different.
Yeah. Audrey Tolles, also 2 years non-continuous. There you are. As an engineer, cheers so much. Thank you so much, my friend. Wolfster, gonna leave. Catching Canada's Amtrak, needs sleep. Have a good sleep. We are to the point, ladies and gents. We are arriving in Victoria.
Real quick, back to the we're getting old conversation for a minute. My birthday's at the end of this month.
You are a fucking child. Shut your fucking bitch ass up.
Exactly.
I've
just been doing it to torment Mark and Natalie for the last 3 weeks. It's fine.
Yeah, I can make all feel old instantly with one sentence. Huff.
Yes, and we're trying to recap Australia still, and the stream's gone on for a minute, so please.
Okay, I'm going to make all the
guys, shut up. Let Mark get on with the stream.
Like, I love the sidebars, but also, like, Jesus Christ.
Mark.
So, Victoria, things. I don't hardly have anything on my phone shot for this, but we went, of course, flew from Canberra to Melbourne. Which, yeah, you guys used too many words for that, or too many letters for that, but, you know, what are you gonna do? With the express idea of just going to Puff. We wanted to go to Puff. And I'm so glad we did. And then we met many of you folks down there.
I'm your Gunzo.
I met more
Gunzo
people.
Gang.
I met more people at Maitland than I did Victoria over the weekend. I met like 30 something people over at Maitland.
36 was the count.
Yeah, 36. I'm glad you had the count. But you guys were all there, all right there, ready to rock. As we walked in, like we drove past not knowing where to park, and Fizz just DMs me, or not even, you didn't even DM me, you pinged me in the general chat of my server going, you can't park there, mate. And it was just like, God damn it.
Yeah, the parking at the bottom is already done, so.
It was, that was pretty funny and also pretty helpful. None of my camera footage is gonna have any of you guys in it. Is any of my GoPro footage gonna have it?
No, that was a return trip, that one.
I don't know if I've got anything that really had the group in it, which is unfortunate. I know at least a couple of you. One of the damn kids was filming the whole time we were talking and had his thing on the Okay, hang on. These are the earlier GoPro footages.
That's
from
right. That was after
part
everybody
of the
had
GoPro.
been wrangled and you were up at the front end.
Yeah.
And that was after. Was after we were told.
And I know.
Yes,
this
I
is,
know.
you
I know.
you
Hey, well,
you're
hang on.
so-
There's Physicist and there's Will. So hang on. I was gonna say I had some
there must be
footage of you
something in
guys.
there.
Yeah, we found Tweedledee and Tweedle Dipshit. We're getting close.
Okay, which one of us is the dipshit though? Because it can't
That's
be me.
Lakeside.
I plead the
Yeah, this
fifth.
is at Lakeside, and this is when they had me fire. I think.
That thing drags hard.
You don't want to have me answer that.
Sure. Well, I mean, you got a lot of drag.
That's right. Yeah, at Puff. Many places wanted to have me. Oh, I'm not showing this to stream at all. Sorry, guys. Here. They had me fire at Puff quite a bit.
So the coal just falls out onto the floor.
Not while running, but
On bunker. There's a little drop, the little drop sheet there that keeps it in check.
yeah. So it can't go too far.
That is, yeah.
Probably the
Everyone,
closest you'll ever get to Deadwood Central.
everyone at Puff was delightful. I
that's
was
an
so
outside
sad that
frame,
my cab card was just
It's a bit damp.
It was very damp from other things, so it tore immediately. He handed it to me broken.
Yeah, another picnic train volunteer.
But the NA class, yeah,
everywhere.
with another picnic train guy, the NA
We are
class. I met so many people. I feel so fucking bad. I don't remember everyone's name. What was his name, Rex?
It's Matt Cantle.
Matt was awesome. He was so nice the whole time. The whole trip at Puff
Right,
was
right.
just
Very
bloody
good.
amazing. And then of course we turned up and then all you guys were there, and that was
They're the same. No.
that was worth the whole price of admission.
No.
You know, enjoying the whole thing. Let's
I
see.
just remember one of us yelling out and you starting to run away.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, as we walked up.
Sorry,
Oh, that's right. That
It was
terrible.
it was one of your goddamn moms. It was
sorry to
the
interrupt,
first
but I've
person
got to
to
disappear.
I'll catch
I've
you.
got to disappear. Something has come up.
Well,
no worries, Will.
But lucky I've been drinking zeros because work has just called me in. So
Godspeed. Do the thing, and we already covered your half of the country, so
yeah, my
Yeah.
bit's done. So you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you guys
Have
later.
fun.
See ya.
yeah.
Have a good
Have a
trip.
safe trip, Will. I just got out of doing that, so.
Yeah, no, it was literally Physicist. It was one of the moms came up and was like, "You're Hyce?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, there's a whole crowd of people waiting for you, and then you guys
no.
ran up the hill at Puff towards me, and I literally jokingly went, turned and ran because you got to commit to the bit and everything. But then I got to meet all you guys, and it's so cool every time to get to meet you guys that. Love the channel. Like it's just the best thing because we're all here. We love trains. We're all that same flavor of person, and it was so fantastic to meet people. And every time I get to do that in person, it's like I wish I had more time to chat with everybody and talk with everybody because everyone's experience is so cool to hear about. So yeah.
Yeah, the handshake between the ES&D and the rebel scum.
That did happen. Yeah, the instant I saw you, was the rebel scum. We did come up with a treaty.
Yep.
I don't remember what it is, but be fine.
Be nice to each other.
That's
dudes.
always a good sign.
Yeah. It was literally it was great to meet Physicist and yeah, they're like we can let this work. We can let it work. It'll be fine. The Railroader will continue. We'll be filming for the channel sometime soon, and the STNS is cool, but it's going to be the ES&DT, and it's going to be the STNS, and people are going to be cool, or people are going to be banned, and that's where I'm at.
Agreed.
Sound good?
Looks at that.
Sounds good.
Yep, agreed.
So,
Whatever
anyway.
you do,
So I
do
gotta
not
go
touch
through
C8.
letter all of those locomotives again, or what's going on?
I suppose so, and I'll give you a hand with that whenever you need to.
Does that mean you're going to wipe the SDNS cards off the side of the loco now, or?
Oh no, I'm still keeping the kill count there.
Okay, fair.
That is awesome. Hey, Has.
What was fun as well was that on that day, I don't know if you saw, there were 4 of us all jammed into my car chasing the train as well, from Belgrave all the way out and back.
We did see you
That was
guys
fun.
chasing a bunch. I probably have you guys on my big camera. I have, here's all my puff footage. And all of these C whatevers are all of my shots with my fancy camera. They don't give me a...
She likes the coal better. All right.
They don't give me a preview, so I don't know what it is. So it's just a pain to try and find footage.
So that was all that hanging out in the running point.
Yeah,
here we go.
Princess Creek. It was so funny. We got up there, Matt, and said, "Oh yeah, I know you got the fireman's seat," and then instantaneously it was like, "Yeah, no, this cab is so fucking small. I'll just get out of your way." And I was hanging out the side almost the whole time. And if I had my camera aimed more up, you'd see. Oh no, there he was. I was gonna say, hang on.
Please give me like half a second.
There he is.
Well, Gary, there I am.
Screenshot that. Well, you can. It's just...
Bad train.
Somebody clip that!
Oh no.
Yeah, we deliberately stood either side of the track so I think to see who could get the shot, and Physicist got the shot.
It was, literally the whole time I was like, damn, I'm not gonna have any shots from outside the train, and it's shitty. Like, I'm gonna, it's awesome that I'm gonna have all these great shots from the locomotive and then, from the carriages later. But then you guys just, coming in clutch and just, recording my entire
That's what
journey.
friends are for.
That's gonna help finish the narrative off. So it's very, very appreciated.
That's right. Plus, it's sort of the quintessential money shot on the Puffing Billy Railway. You have to get something going over the Monbolk Trestle. Preferably coming out from Belgrave is the better one, but yeah.
Yeah, well, both Physicist and I were able to catch the down out of Belgrave, so he's got that covered.
I'm sorry, was that
that's
discount
even
speed lettering on those cars, or did my eyes deceive me?
It may have been.
No comment.
People like to have fun.
You can have both.
Oh yeah,
See
people
American-
know what it's doing. I'm fine, no.
And then, of course, you've got this, well, remembering that these are Victorian-made knockoffs of a Baldwin engine.
Right.
Yeah.
Done ostensibly without a production license, I believe, is the story. And that
I've shared this, and I did have a laugh, and I want everyone else to participate in this laugh with me, because I'd explained it in person to Rex, and you'll hear why.
I was gonna say, this is just...
That little motif, which you almost had right. You didn't quite have it, but that's okay. So, one of the funniest little things... One of the funniest little things that we had in the moment of this was we walked up, and before I got mobbed by all of the tea and sugar friends, when we were still up the hill, they were down there. I walk up and I hear listen to the air pump on the engine.
That is... I was gonna say, this is just...
I had to laugh because that's an 8-inch air compressor, and I had previously up-pitched 20's 11-inch air compressor for Century of Steam, and I set it to a random rhythm like that. And I didn't look at any reference, didn't listen to any reference. I was like, 11-inch to 8-inch, it'll sound kind of like this.
We promise we know what month it is, but this one has been a bit of a challenging one.
That is...
Come on.
This one, we promise we know what month it is, but this one has been a bit of a...
Come on.
I can hear it too.
Decently spot on too.
I literally turned the corner and was like, why am I hearing my air compressor from the video game? Oh fuck, no, that's the actual thing. And now I've got a recording the actual thing, which we'll add, of course. But like, it was hilarious to just be like, wait a second, that's that. That's wait a minute.
On the subject, I better hope Mark nails the 5-chime and single note with all the recordings.
Yeah, I've got a lot of recordings of 5s, and you sent me that one recording, and I really liked the Victorian 5 that we did put in because it was very pretty, but that was not very representative of Chex Notes all of the other Victorian 5s that we've run into.
I think that was the
my
one
one
I
had a
sent
bit of
while
an
ago.
issue where it had like a level crossing in the background too. So
yeah, we'll do that anyway. Yep, Puff was great. Getting to lean out the carriages, do the thing. Stupid fucking narrow gauge railway with too pretty. And it, like, everyone's heard of Puffing Billy. Puffing Billy, I remember being a little kid and reading Trains of the World books, and Puffing Billy was on the list. That's the Australian thing, Puffing Billy. And then you go, and then hearing about it, Puffing Billy has more ridership than any tourist railroad in the United States.
What?
Yep.
When you're running multiple... Sorry.
No, you're right. A country that has
I was just gonna...
20-ish million people, they're doing 500,000 customers per year.
What in the goddamn?
Trains are booked out for like a month in advance.
That is...
and they're running daily.
It's more than the Manitou and Pikes Peak COG, which is the #1 in the US. And that's more than the Durango and Silverton, which is #2 in the US. By a lot.
And I mean, you saw on the day as well that they're running daily multiple departures with about 12 cars at a pop.
Yep.
Full.
So the thing that was amazing to me, and we got a shop tour, thanks to Rex. And I recorded the shop tour. It's going to be coming out on the whole thing and all that. They have a digital maintenance work order system for the steam engines.
That's the way to do it.
But, like, literally, like, they're a Class 1 railroad the whole way through. Like, I am not aware of any railroad in the U.S. that does that. So, anyway...
They've got to keep things going, so they have to keep things
right.
on schedule.
I mean, if you're moving 500,000 people around, it's probably not a bad idea.
Oh yeah. Also, random tangent. For those in the stream chat that are going, hey, some of these deliveries look familiar from the game that must not be named. Yes.
Yeah, some of them are. They
are based on these.
They did that because, yeah, some of the engines were similar.
Now let's continue with calling it the game that shall not be named and never name it again.
It's fine.
Yes.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, let me see if I can find the video of the tea and sugar.
So how about that? What are you talking about?
I didn't know they made a game about Voldemort.
Basically, the sort of...
So while you're searching for the video, a little bit of background is Physicist and I only came up with the name Tea and Sugar about 30 seconds before you arrived, but it seemed to just fit.
Good. I'm glad. I found you giving your explanation. So here it is.
There's some of it. 1914 and 1996, a dedicated supply train ran all the way across the Nullarbor from Port Augusta to Kalgoorlie.
Okay.
Once a week, every week. It was called the Tea and Sugar.
Okay.
Because it was a general supply, general crap train full of anything. And to mark your trip from east to west, we're going to provide you with your own tea and sugar.
Oh my goodness.
You've got the tea and I've got the sugar.
I see. Well, goodness, we shall be well looked after.
Which flag would you like to start with?
Australian treats all through.
By the way, both these bags will be given to you. You don't have to transpose. We'll be giving you these bags.
Oh, perfect. Love that.
Refrigerator bags. So if you've got like a cold block or something like that.
Perfect. We can do that. Let's start with the tea, I suppose.
Okay, start with that's me, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
And I've got some sugar, but anyway. So, Australia has
Spill the
states.
tea.
Here are some that you can bite back at.
You gotta like that. That's good. It's quite good. Tim Tams, yes. They gave us Tim Tams on the plane, and my girlfriend got mad cred for knowing what a Tim Tam Slam was.
Yes. I was about to say. Were you able to successfully do one?
Not yet, actually, so we'll have to give it a go.
Varieties of Tim Tam.
Yes.
Oh, if you need to get Vex to do.
Oh my God.
Double
YouTube,
coat.
All right.
Where is Vex anyway?
Next time you're in the wagon.
Somewhere.
Next time you're in the car building department.
Yes,
Vex
the
was
wagon
hiding safely
wheels.
out of view.
Good.
Yeah. So
Cave.
it literally got to the point that I don't know if my GoPro was able to capture all of the things that they handed me.
To encourage, you got big enough to come back.
You guys gave me so much stuff. It was ridiculous, and it was all absolutely appreciated and all absolutely enjoyed. I will say that we couldn't fly with literally everything, so we tried as much as we could.
So Tim Tam Slam is whenever you.
The Tim Tam Slam is when you bite off 2 corners of a Tim Tam, and then you suck down a coffee or a tea or something through the Tim Tam, because it's a chocolate.
Like
it's a chocolate coating around a wafer cookie kind of situation or something, so that it works as a straw. Which is a whole thing.
Better than what I was going to suggest. I was going to say is that. Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I will just say that I am
too solid to headbutt.
I am a broken human that hates chocolate. So my girlfriend loved all of the chocolatey everythings, and I was like, "This is so nice,
okay,
thank you so much." And I didn't want to say anything in the moment, but yeah, I can't stand chocolate for whatever reason. I don't know what's wrong in my genetics, but I will tell you that everything.
American chocolate has that chemical that makes it taste like puke.
Everything was very much appreciated, so it was quite excellent.
I
The
still
tea and
loved
sugar.
your reaction on the day to the burger rings.
So
The burger rings.
I do have to add.
The burger rings were in fact AI generated, I think, and they did not taste like burgers. Still, we did eat all the burger rings. Yeah. They were salty crunchy, but they were... I don't even know how to describe their flavor, but it didn't taste like burger, so it was weird.
So I do have to ask,
Probably the best way of describing it.
Australian chocolate, is that also milk chocolate like we do here in the US, or is it more of like a European dark style chocolate?
Depends.
Drink.
Well, that's what a lot of people don't like American chocolate, quote unquote, because we use Hershey's
That
at least
chemical that makes it taste like puke.
Well, no, they use real milk. Like, they don't use powdered milk like some European chocolates do, and that's what makes it taste like vomit or sour milk to most people.
I've tried a lot of chocolate, and my body just doesn't like chocolate. I don't know what it is, so...
It doesn't
What's
like
it like
cheese
iced
either.
coffees?
What do you want?
Well, I like cheese. My body doesn't like cheese.
Actually, he did quite well over here, but I think that's because slightly different grass, slightly different gut bacteria and the critters, and as a result, slightly different milk.
That is true. I did not shit myself from cheese at all over there, but there was also... It's also a lot less cheese-based food in general. And even then, like, you know... it was better cheese when it was cheese. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
The American industrial everything hadn't gotten to you guys, and you guys actually still have, like, quality things in many ways, so it was like...
Meanwhile, I eat mozzarella balls like they're apples.
I can't do that. I will poop myself to death. But either way, the tea and sugar was extremely appreciated. and only some of it had to go back with Rex because it didn't fit into our bags on the way back to the States.
Apologies for sounding like a broken record, but yeah, how is the iced coffee milks?
I only had a sip of one, and it was actually genuinely delicious. I would have shit myself if I drank the whole thing, but my girlfriend loved them. So, you won a lot of brownie points. You won a lot of brownie points.
I do wish we were able to find by the day Farmers Union. Only that morning I was looking around the local shop near the apartment we were staying in, and yeah, they didn't have any. So I really wish it could have given you the good stuff, Farmers Union.
Well, it's very much appreciated. So,
Could it be worse? You could have had that overwhelming American desire to just dump it in Great Barrier Reef, a la the fucking Boston
No, that wouldn't
Harbor.
have worked. We went nowhere near it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Boston Harbor either.
Yeah.
Nah.
I gotta throw in the batteries. Who's gonna charge the electric eels, Gru?
Morty, we gotta go to Bendigo, Morty, to get my cube.
Gotta go get my cube. Yeah.
We actually did go to Bunnings.
We went to we didn't go to didn't go to Bendigo, but
Monty's back house.
Next time.
Anyway,
I didn't get an aquarium pump though.
let me grab these couple top chats and then we'll go to West Australia. Also, George Gaming, a year and a half as a brakeman, looking forward to CC in 2 weeks. Oh, good. Yeah, I better see you up here for that. It sounds like I'm going to get to be there for both days. It sounds like my my other obligation might be Friday night, so yeah. Trainman 4014, hey Mark, what do you call a reckless railroader a Kenosha violation? Something like that. Alanite, hey Hyce, you planning to do anything in or around Western New York? No, there isn't much railroad-wise. Probably doesn't help. Our only running steamer came out of a 7-year 1472 last year. Thought I'd ask. It's not on my list, but it could become on my list. Shrug.
I'll return again shortly.
A little bit better of the what do you call a reckless railroader? Somebody who cannot conduct themselves properly.
There you go. Yep.
I thought that's the one that steps on a third rail and doesn't explode.
Yep. Chaos Wiley, it was great to see you in Maitland. Hope the rest of the trim went well. It was fantastic, as we've been talking about. Andrew Frame, Hershey adds shit to the chocolate just to flow their pipes easier. Sounds about right. Dear Mass Cannon, don't get me started on the cheese industry in America and how we have to massive caves full of stuff. Why do you think the Got Milk ads never had any true branding? I don't want to know. Don't want to know. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But we could be here for hours if we talk about Australian brands and stuff like that.
Sure. Anyway.
Yeah, we sort of have favourites and we defend them strongly.
Valid.
Have you had Joanna help us today?
The connection will, if you tee up your next saucy trip, Steamroll does trips to Bendigo for the meme. We'll have to see. I know we've got several ideas for multiple more Australia trips, and we'll see which one makes sense when and why.
Well, as I said, being the Bendigo person here, if you do want to come around, I'm sure we can make things happen for you here at work.
Oh, appreciated. Good to know. It'd be quite fun to see the rest. I mean, I loved every little bit of getting to see all of Australia. I want to see the rest, and I want to go to all the places. So, but moving on to our
except that middle bit, it's pretty hot and upsetting.
Apparently, but that's where some of the wild birdies are that I'd love to see. But anyway.
Yeah, it's where the wedgies are.
Yeah, well, no, I want to see wild budgies and I want to see wild cockatiels. So
you do have wild budgies here.
You said all you had to do was just go find the nearest screaming bush, and that's your best bet.
That's where you see wild cockatoos, but cockatiels different. Okay.
Yeah, Northern Territory.
Yeah, they're just painted blue or a shade of blue.
No, they're not blue. Wild Cockatoo is trying to find an SD70. Wild Cockatiel is trying to find an SD40.
It was a joke because teal is blue.
Oh, I see. Limes.
Blue-green, but distractions.
Blue-green. Yeah, anyway.
Distractions.
A shade, like I said, a shade of blue.
Yeah,
West Australia with
coupler.
you guys and your choppy couplers and the vacuum brakes and things.
Steam steel couple. Nice.
Oh, please don't. What were those couplers again? Can I just go back? Can we go back to those couplers?
Oh, yes, the NCDAs, the Norwegian conversion double action, was the last variety of Norwegian or Jones-style yoke that we used before we went to knuckles in the 80s on the narrow gauge. So they have a slack adjuster built into them, and they're the strongest of the three types we had.
Fucking goofy is what they are.
And it's funny to think that the narrow gauge in South Australia use a different pattern of chopper.
That's right. It's almost identical, just two choppers instead of one, and that's a kidney link that you can see on the picture there. So that's what we used on our passenger trains.
And that's what it looks like done up.
Yeah.
Instead of knuckles holding hands, it's just a fist bump.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
With an extra thing in the middle.
It's nice. It's interesting to see.
It's a pretty railway. And I found
That's just Lincoln Pin with extra steps.
It's a couple of black cockies.
Well, when you got the draw hook in, it's semi-automatic coupling.
That's a couple.
And then the W class plate frame.
Yep, designed on the power unit, or it was basically built around the power unit of the Bayer Peacock's standard light Garrett. Basically, that 400 we saw at Zigzag. The W class is basically built around the running gear of those, just slightly modified because it was a conventional engine with a trailing truck and an ash pan instead of just a little pony as an afterthought.
Weird choo-choo. A plate frame, light gauge, 482, vacuum brakes.
Very modern for its time.
Still uses vacuum
and damn
brakes.
good engines.
Now I do have to ask, how many of those fireboxes did you try to climb in?
0. I didn't climb in a single firebox, and I was thankful about it.
No, I've been in one of those things before.
Are they roomy at least?
I will say
inside.
I will say
the cab's
Rex,
very comfy.
You don't need this many fucking washout plugs.
Yeah, you do.
That's too many.
Bayer Peacock suggested otherwise, and we just had to roll with it.
That's too many washout plugs.
Yeah, but I mean, you
combustion chamber and other things.
Rex has seen the video I sent him of 3801 in Alice Springs back in '92, and the water was just mud.
Yeah,
there is a reason why in William's video, the Commonwealth Railway steam locos, what was it, 5 years from brand new to scrap worthy because of all the
exactly.
Just the sheer amount of nasty and mineral.
Yeah, because the way the mineral deposits in the water from the Nullarbor. Since I made that video, I've read up a little bit more about it. One of the boilers was brand new to scrap condition in 5 years and 104,000 miles of operation.
Christ.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Because the water had so much mineral deposits that actually, and especially because you got the mix between a copper firebox and steel boiler tubes as well around that area, the salt deposits with the heat and all that and pressures, it just chewed through the firebox, no problems. Or chewed through that joint.
Essentially what happens when you take a British-style loco and put it in Death Valley for its entire life. The water's less water with a bit of minerals and more minerals with a bit of water.
Well, I mean, there's a photo of one I've found of one of the Commonwealth Railways standard goods engine knockoffs. The entire outside of it is pure scale, no paint.
I was just about to ask, was it more scale buildup or salt damage that seemed to be the issue?
Take your pick.
Because at one point, 87% of all the repair work on the Commonwealth Railway steam fleet was just boiler repairs.
It just reminds me of how much scale they pulled out of that Sioux locomotive there, Nick Hovey in Kentucky Steam.
Small pile.
That thing was.
That's a good picture that you've got in your little collection there, Mark.
Yeah.
I take it that's going up next.
It's me and Bon. Yeah, no, it's going up right now.
It's funny because I'd been told many times, you've got to take him to the Bon Scott statue. You've got to take him to the Bon Scott statue. And I went, where's the Bon Scott statue? Oh, it's down at down the bottom of Fremantle next to Cicerello's. Oh, where's that? Now, here's the thing. In my day job, I run container trains in and out of Fremantle Port. As a matter of fact, there's some of those video you took of the cheeky wild dual gauge. That's one of the trains I regularly drive.
The Bon Scott statue is, the distance from this container to here to the right. It's right over there.
That's what I mean. I have driven past this thing day and night for 4 and a bit years and never seen it until finally I just had to look across and go, oh, Bon Scott statue. Yes, I must take
it. Hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day, I suppose.
I mean, if we're talking about the dual gauge through Fremantle, do we bring up Gladstone, South Australia yet again?
Well, we did in the earlier part of the stream.
Yeah, triple gauge, Cape Narrow, Standard, and Irish Broad.
I like that.
It drives everyone mad.
Like with a triple gauge turntable.
We did go and see Bon's grave as well. So it was important. 1980 was a bad year for musicians that had Bon in their name. Especially if they like to drink. So, yeah. And then we went to a place. This was about when I died laughing my ass off of seeing them littering the side of the cab, and then seeing, oh, wait a second.
So I did see that post. Is that a cheeky nod, or is that like the actual lettering?
No.
They lettered their engine for the ES&D for the day. For the video.
Fucking amazing.
Literally.
Killer.
Yeah, Bennett Brook
I
Railway.
still love the classification as well of K17 just to fit it in as well. That's even better.
That's right.
She's a K17, not an NG15. Yeah.
That's right, because we sat down and crunched the numbers, and that's basically, at the moment, in its current state, that's the tractive effort it actually punches out.
Oh, I come back and I see an ES&D branded engine.
Yeah, ES&D engine.
An ES&D K17. That's got the correct...
yeah, this is what it's
what
normally lettered for the West Australia Light Railway Preservation Association. Is that right?
That's the one. Yep, you got that correct.
NG15 123. I did chat with our font designer, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yep. How far off were we?
You're close, but he said he would send the proper font to whoever wants it.
Nice.
So I don't know if I need to send that to Mick or to you or whoever, but
right, both. It'll get to one of us one way or another.
The DRGW font will send you the whole thing. The numerals, awesome. the letters down here were great, but the numerals were not quite proper to the Rio Grande, which
that's all right. We got close enough to start.
You got close, and the people who got closer are happy to send it. So, yeah.
Yes. Most
I don't know if my livery's right. That locomotive is a lot less brown than I think it should be. Also, it's still on the rails.
It's not been in service yet, so.
Once my interconnection fixes up, were the NG15s converted?
No. Purpose built from day one as a 2-foot gauge mic.
The ES&D locomotive being out of service, I think, is actually
they're
proper.
2-foot gauge. Okay.
Correct. This is why we joke about K27 at home. It's as big as a mud hen, but it's on rails 12 inches closer together. It is the largest and most powerful rigid frame 2-foot gauge engine in the world.
It is? Oh, damn.
Wow.
And then I got my sausage out for the camera.
I didn't bring this bird to Australia.
No.
I arrived
that
and
one
this
was already
bird was
here.
here.
And that's the other fun thing we can do with our mics that you guys can't.
Mark, you can't just go around showing Peter like that.
Yeah, the swing out seats. It's enough to piss off the Pope. Wish I had that.
Yeah.
Got this great sequence of you explaining the swing out seats.
Yes. Third person driving.
Yep.
Because that's original South African thing, wasn't it?
That is correct. That's been pretty much a standard thing for most of their up until the engines got too big for it. That was a pretty standard feature.
That is
I also
wild.
love how the
Even
tender
though
on it
it's-
is just cube.
Well, there's a reason behind that too. These were originally built to run in Southwest Africa, or what we now know as Namibia. So they're a desert engine, and that's basically that's how they got the water range out of it. Because the Atavi Railway was all 2-foot gauge pretty much from the coast, several 100-mile inland to the Sumeb, which is a copper mining region. And in 1961, they regauged it from 2-foot narrow gauges that had been built in the 1910s to Cape gauge, or what the Saffers actually call broad, just to make things funny. And in the process, the entire fleet of Garretts and these things, because they had a couple of other varieties of mic that were unfortunately too rigid to run anywhere else, they basically got scrapped. The NG-15s got sent to Port Elizabeth and ran on the Aventir lines out of Port Elizabeth up to Luri and Asachibos and other places like that. And that's basically where we got ours from.
So that does beg the question to me, what has had more impact on Australia railroading, British or South African?
It's the British and the Americans. The South Africans sort of, I suppose you'd call it a similar but slightly evolutionarily divergent process, because being another crown colony, and then they also had the South African, also what they called the Boer War in the early 1900s, and so for a time, and then when the Afrikaners the Afrikaner colonists sort of got power within the with South Africa itself, the Union itself, after the First World War, they've quite long memories and a little bit of a grudge, so they made a point of deliberately trying to buy German for a while, and then sort of post-Second World War and all the things that happened with that, because they were still a dominion of the British Empire, they basically went back to mostly British and a bit of American stuff. But the other fun one is, if you look at their 25 classes, the 25Cs and the 25NCs, if you squint hard enough, you go, bloody hell, that thing's a Niagara. I'm 3'6".
Mm-hmm.
So they basically went sort of a little bit more American in terms of the size, because of the sheer distances that they were running and the challenges, whereas we picked a little bit more British practice over here with a few smatterings of Americans sneaking in there here and there as time went on.
It really
I was honestly
depended
just
between states
really
too, so-
curious about it because, like you said, that the South Africans would have dealt more with
Your microphone is...
Your microphone, yeah.
I've got top chats. Andrew does the MC. Now you didn't come to Tassie yet, so you need to come back. Yeah, I will come back. KD2868, fireman for 19 months. G'day, Mark. Just wanted to say the Crossbook's doing well. Also, did you ever get to look at the book he gave you? I haven't had a look yet. I've got it right over here, but I haven't looked at it yet. PS, loop line through the bush. PS2, you're welcome for the lime, Rex. Yeah.
That's right. 3 weeks. 3 weeks I've been winding this man up. He bought a lime.
I bought
he
a lime.
kept leaving it in the fridge.
Yep.
He kept forgetting it. And then eventually this guy just casually just slips one in his hand at Buoying Up and goes, you know what to do.
Katie gave me the lime at Buoying Up, and then I finally got to Lime Rex. So that was
3 weeks.
Excellent.
3 weeks.
But yeah,
it took 3 weeks.
I got to autograph a crossbuck for Katie, and that was I'm jealous that you have a crossbuck. I don't have a crossbuck yet. I want a crossbuck, and I want some I want some flashing light signals. We'll get there one of these days. So
I have
a sprue gun, and I know where there are a bunch of crossbucks. Just say the word.
No.
I just saw a little bit of a discussion in the chat about the swing-out seats on the Garrett. Yeah, Puffing Billy took theirs off. So the NGG 16s and the 13s that they developed from, and the NGG 11s that spawned them all had the same sorts of swing-out seats, which, as someone who's operated those things, you do need them. Those cabs are quite small and they're very, very hot. But for whatever reason, Puffing Billy said, "Oh no, we had to take those off. That's dangerous." Which, yeah, you then look at guys casually hanging on the running boards going out over the Monbolk trestle, and you sort of sit there going,
They probably argue they got 6 extra inches of track to play with.
Speaking of crossbucks and stuff, this is we're actually a really good time to ask. Hyce, based on your experience in prior jobs, thoughts on level crossing design and its similarities to US design, but also differences.
It was very funny to see Australian crossings. They were interesting. It was funny. I saw a number of them, and ran through a number of them too. You guys, much like the rest of Aussie preservation, Aussie railroading, it was a mix of British and American stuff, but the crossings were very American in general, and they, other than the specific sounds they made, were actually extremely similar to what I was used to, and that was kind of uncanny. It was interesting. It was funny. So
that's the funny one, because the one of the really, really big signalling contractors, well, there were 2 of them, Mackenzie and Holland, and I think there was an Australian derivative of Westinghouse, and so all the teardrop bells and all those things basically came into Australia in the 30s and just basically hung around.
Oh, I
and
love
we've been using
Westinghouse
variations on that ever since.
I remember this from my childhood.
Speaking of signaling stuff, I need to tell you, Mark, about how NS ruined the cab signaling system that PRR used to use out in my area.
Oh boy.
Lordy.
I do it now, but that's not what the stream is for.
Sure. Yeah.
With signaling and all that, on the signaling tangent as well, once again, if another trip does happen, South Australia is where it gets full American. I mean, like, for a long time, even your typical sort of US wigwags were used everywhere for a long time as well.
Now I'm interested.
That's funny.
And we also had those spinny whirly gigs and other funny things too in New South Wales.
Yeah.
You say you don't have a crossbuck. Would you like one? Granted, it's kind of shitty sheet metal, but would you still like one?
And he's going
I know where M&W keeps there.
We are not stealing it from an actual railroad.
Don't steal a crossbuck.
Who said anything about stealing? I'm just borrowing without the intention of returning it.
Don't do anything stupid for me to get a crossbuck. I'll get a crossbuck someday. I'm not worried about it. So, but yeah, that was generally the Australian trip. It was amazing. I mean, they really opened up the red carpet for me. Everywhere I went was, just ridiculous. I had never expected to be treated as kindly as I did, or I got treated. I mean, it was just absurd. And it's gonna make for some really cool content coming up in the next couple months. But Aussie preservation is excellent and cool, and they were late to lose steam, and so naturally they're kind of late to have their preservation go to crap. Hopefully it won't, but it
is helping.
Aussie preservation is basically where it was in the States 30 years ago.
So now I gotta. What's next on the bucket list?
Probably the rest of Victoria and South Australia and Tasmania.
I mean, to me, like, Australian preservation's got it figured out. Like, that's the stuff to go see. Like, if you've got an ability to travel, you should go there and go see it now. You know, is it gonna change? The world's
Maybe.
so dynamic. Who knows?
Everything changes.
I hope it doesn't change much, but what they have, what they have down in Australia is like what we had in the States in the 90s that I never got to experience. So,
I mean,
Like,
one thing
every
that
state has. Sorry, you go, Will.
Sorry. No, one thing you messaged me about, Mark, about all of this is, and we were talking about, is the way your experiences are sort of Australian railway history and preservation and all that. In the grand scheme of things, beyond our shores, it doesn't sort of get as much of a look in as, say, the UK does or continental Europe.
Yeah.
It to me anyway, it brings a big smile to my face to see that someone from beyond our not so little island has sort of seen what we have and is actually excited by it.
I appreciate that. I mean, what you guys have is genuinely, truly special. Every railway and railroad and person I talk to, we're all the same steam people, and you guys are just the people that right now have, I would say, a better access to do whatever the hell you want than anyone else.
Like, I'm definitely
amazing.
biased towards Victorian stuff, but like there's so many places in Victoria where you do a little bit of induction, usually free, and walk in and go, and do a bit of induction, and bam, you got a paintbrush in hand and you're helping work. Like there's every state's different, but but there's also still a camaraderie in between, especially like when for Victoria example, you've got steam rail 707 productions. Dermpad for essentially broad gauge doodlebugs. Victorian goldfields up in Castlemaine. You've got Mornington, Bellarine, Popping Billy itself. And that's just stuff within an hour or two of Melbourne. You've got
and that's not even the whole list either.
Right.
Yeah, there are so many that a lot of them you just do an induction.
I had the cutest, littlest little. Hey, here's some of the best in New South Wales. Here are some of the most known from Victoria. And then out west where Rex, who's the host of the thing, could show all the things off west, show it off. That was the trip. We did not cover Victoria near as much as we should. Because you can't,
Physically impossible.
It was 3 weeks, and it was already too much, in terms of a trip. It was too long, and all this stuff.
So speaking of,
Victoria
down. Sorry, you go.
Victoria's on the list. South Australia's on the list. Queensland's on the list. Want to be there. We want to see all this stuff. I want to be there. What you guys do is so cool, and everyone involved in every part of that industry down there is just good people, and it was just amazing to be a part of. So I'm definitely going to be back.
If you
there's plenty to
try
explore.
And get back, there's plenty to explore. If you can. Next March of every even-numbered year, the Newport Rail Workshops down in the inner western suburbs of Melbourne has a massive open day. Multiple heritage groups come down and show off stuff. I would highly recommend you try and get down for that. If you can't, still come down for say 2028 if you need to. But I would highly recommend do that. And to anyone still watching in the chat of stream, go do the damn thing.
Go do the thing.
Hey,
yeah,
do the thing.
Yes.
Come do the thing.
I have recently started to do the thing at my own museum.
Huzzah!
It's a world that you cannot explore unless you're actually in it, and when you're in it, everything gains a much higher meaning and value because you appreciate the work that has gone in, both past and present.
Yeah. you have to be there.
If I wasn't too busy doing the more modern version of the thing, I would definitely do it.
Right.
Well, that's right. Railroading for money first, then railroading for fun. That's how I do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
I'd say you could do both, but sometimes
Exactly.
that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. It does get frustrating.
Funnily enough, I'm actually driving Heritage trams tomorrow.
So we'll have to see. I don't know what my schedule. I mean, I hardly have my schedule through the rest of the year planned. We'll see. I want to come back to Australia very much. Is it going to be next year? Is it going to be the year? I can't tell you. I don't know. I hardly have.
One crisis at a time.
I have, literally. I hardly have this year planned, and there are many places in the world I do want to go. But goddamn, is Australian preservation that cool? Yes, it is. I want to keep coming back to Australia. So, got some top chats to get to. We're gonna get out of here after that.
Easy.
So. Let's see.
I do have one little side note. My son, he now idolizes you because I told him that because you worked, you do the day out with Thomas thing at the railroad, and then you went to Australia. I told him you met both Thomas and Bluey, and he is absolutely fucking fascinated.
Well, that's
gotta start him somewhere.
Yeah. I met Bluey. We have Bluey at the goddamn Denver train show, actually. So, I've actually met Bluey, and Bluey was there. So,
That's
anyway,
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I may, come down, see the French fry engine at some point. I might be there
someday. From Andrew Does MC. Now you didn't get to Tassie yet, so you need to come back. Duh. Katie 2868. Yep. You just want to say that the crossbook's doing well. Also, did you ever get back? Okay. Yeah. Yep. On the list. Drew Does MC. Joining the conductors. Thank you. Sean J Animations. Hey Mark, you got the run speeder for Fire Patrol at your railroad. You're getting somewhere. I think. Keep doing the thing.
Spinny hat.
Yep. Spinny hat. You got to start somewhere.
Got to do spinny hat.
And Electro Wolf, did I go and see the Sydney Tramway Museum in Loftus? I did not.
No, that was originally on the list, but then Thirlmere intervened rather spectacularly.
Yeah, Thirlmere, interfered.
I mean, you had to get the Garrett in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big Garrett, big, 3801, come on. So, David B. 1998. Hi, Hyce, great to see you survived the trip to the land down under. Was the coolest / craziest animal you saw?
Me.
I mean, we saw all of the animals, which was very fun.
Eddie. Pretty sure the craziest animal you saw.
The most interesting was Rex killing a wombat with a F unit.
I mean, you got to see.
At track
you got to
speed.
see Teddy. That counts.
Singing songs about lands down under.
Bonk. Yeah. So anyway,
you saw Teddy. That counts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of other fun stuff, but we're gonna jump off here. That's all we have to write. But before I jump off here, I do see it. Macca, my friend.
Hey, Macca.
You don't have to say your name all the time. I met you down under. It's very great to meet you, and your parents were wonderful. So glad to see you're on the stream, Macca. Picnic Train video is gonna be coming out in a little bit. So
easy.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, we're gonna jump off for the evening. Thanks so much for the love. Thanks so much for the support. It was great to chat about the whole trip. Of course, Rex. Thank you so much for organizing the whole damn thing.
You're most welcome. We'll do it again.
It was absurd and ridiculous all at the same time. And then I Will Boom, who
Is that a
left
threat
us.
or a promise?
Yes. I Will Boom, who left us to go to his real job. Also helped out a little bit. So anyway, that's gonna be all she wrote. Have a good night, everyone. Take it easy, and we'll catch you all next time.